blue deal.
Can we pull puppy? Can we pull the bag over?
All right, we should be live. Hey, everybody.
Hi, everybody.
Thanks,
Hello,
everyone.
everybody.
thanks for y'all's patience with us. Had a bit of a connection issue at the beginning, but we got that resolved. Always good to get connected. Yeah, just making sure everything looks okay, sounds okay. How is the sound? Colleen, Charlie, can you, or I guess,
Hi,
yeah,
guys. How's everybody doing this evening? Let us know the volume of the voices.
how does everything sound?
Make sure that everyone gives us an update with
See.
Tony's voice as well.
See you and hear you just fine. And yeah, behind the scenes, we've got Toni Weel with us, graciously providing her presence. So thank you for being here, Toni.
Oh, gee, thank you, Justin. You have a nice way of saying it.
Well, it's true. I mean, just we've got to honor not only ourselves but each other for the time and attention that we give, because that is the most valuable currency in all of the universe. And so when it is given, it is the gift of the highest high. So it truly is an honor.
Well, when it's given with truth attached, it most certainly is. And for hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands of years, people have been wasting their time and mostly charging for it and not giving a lick of truth.
Yes, very true.
Okay, I don't have the ability to do chat right now, but
Great. So Justin's still working on the camera and stuff, so hopefully everything is just great. So the title for the show tonight, and we're going to talk about a lot of things, obviously, because of what's gone on today, but the title for the show tonight is Food for Thought. And that is an encompassing statement, because what we should be doing is, in everything we do in life, is encouraging the right choice. So whether it's for thought, whether it's for speech, whether it's for exercise, whether it's for breathing, no matter what it is, we need to be doing the right things in life instead of the wrong things. Herein lies the problem. How do you possibly even know? Now, you may roll your eyes a bit at this, but it's very true. How do you possibly even know what is right and wrong anymore? And when you have a reality for the last 4 years where literally Colleen and I have represented the sole bastions of the whole truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help us God, then what the fuck has been going on? And where the hell is everybody else? 4 years ago, we did a 7-part series to kick off our YouTube channel, FreakSense TV, and it was entitled, Everything You Know Is a Lie, Now Would You Like to Hear Some Truth? And since that time, we've had literally a handful of people agree to the fact that everything is a lie, whereas most people still continue to cling to aspects of the lie. Well, they're liars for sure. Their god Baal, B-A-A-L, is the deceiver, and he's known for taking everything and turning it into a lie and twisting it 180 degrees to making it upside down opposite from the truth. But not everything is a lie, Charlie. Clearly, we live on a spinning, wobbling, tilting, turning, globular ball. Really? Where's the proof? Where's one iota of evidence with all the satellites they got. Where is any proof or evidence? None. Zero, zip, zilch. And if any one of you, when I asked that question, quoted NASA, I'll come through the camera and give you a whop upside the head.
I was going to say NASA CGI deposits have all the proof.
Yeah. So there is zero proof because there is no spinning, tilting, wobbling, ballish, spherical earthatoid globule. Not at all. Zip, zero, zilch, nada,
Except for
nothing.
the fact that it's a torus field.
So what we do know is that everything that's come to us from every ancient culture, and by the way, they were really intelligent, just because they had a lack of modern technology, it just proves how intelligent they were. Because with all of the modern technology, how many of that is actually self-serving us?
But how do we know what kind of technology that they had? We don't, they buried it. They buried all the technology. So they could have
Right,
been
but-
way more advanced than we are.
But we exist within a system that has an agreed upon level of technology, and that technology works against us, not for us. So once again, when you look back in time and you make negative comments upon ancient civilization and cultures because they were very laid back and they didn't have complex systems of telephone poles and telephone wires and energy transfer systems and transfer wires and one, because they were so far ahead of us. And what did every single one of those ancient cultures acknowledge? It was not just that they acknowledged it, it's the basis of not only their societal truths, but how they governed and structured themselves as enlightened beings, which is that the earth is level and that it is still and stationary, that it is never moved, nor will it ever move. And of course it can't, because they all knew that we're here to do the sacred inner work. So if once again, we're still at this juncture where, well, most things, Charlie, thank you, most things are a lie, but you're not giving up on that spinning, wobbling ball thing. Get ready for some massive surprises relatively soon, because the earth is level and it's still, and it's stationary. It always has been and it always will be. So where does all this technology come from? Where do all of these geniuses come from? Where has all of this this genius to be able to do things like build the pyramids come from? You all want to take the genius off this earth, and you want to postcard it to some
The Palladians.
Palladians or whomever. You want to postcard it to some civilization light years away from us in different galaxies or different parts of our own galaxy. You never want to take credit for yourselves. But the fact of the matter is, if there is ancient technology that is otherworldly, then it means that it came from the earth at a different time frame, which is a different mentality, which is, of course, light years away from this reality where we exist and we don't know the first thing between what's right and wrong. So all I know is that what we need to do is right and not wrong. And if we all just stop doing the wrong things, we're going to be okay, because all we have to do are the right things. All right. But what are the right things? Nobody knows.
Do you remember that movie Wall-E,
Wall-E.
where everybody just became so fat and they couldn't even move? I don't think they even had bones in their body. They
No.
just were like
Yeah, just blobs of
just
flesh.
blobs
And
of
they
flesh,
trashed the earth.
and they
Yeah.
trashed the earth. Yeah,
Mhm.
and so that little kids movie had so much truth in it of what was coming.
And everyone had a screen in front of them and
Yeah.
they were completely sucked into
Yeah.
the illusion. And it
And-
was a ship.
Yeah.
It was a maritime admiralty spacecraft.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah.
And that's just one step removed from the matrix, where we're just plugged in and fed off, the life force energy, because essentially, it's just steering all of us into this having our consciousness be harvested, because
exactly.
that is the most valuable thing in the universe. And when we don't even recognize how valuable we are and how valuable our attention and our consciousness is, and we just abdicate, we just let go, then whoever is out there, if you're not making a choice, someone's choosing for you. And so if someone's going to choose it and take it away, and use it to whatever ends, especially when you're in that left brain path, you have no creative ability, you have no ability to make any of that. So you have to go out and steal it and take it. And
Parasited.
so it's beautifully balanced, because if you choose that path, it always destroys itself, because it can't actually create and maintain.
Absolutely. So that's where the Ouroboros, where the snake seems to be eating itself.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, and that's what we've been doing here on this plane, is just kind of cycling. We've just been going in this ebb and flow, this back and forth, and that's why there are remnants of these ancient technologies and other structures and whatever else, because we've reached pinnacles and we've fallen far, and we've probably done that ebb and flow many times, and here we are coming from a far fall, about to springboard back again. But it's just this eternal sine wave that we're just participating in, this ride.
Yeah, Jesus says, "He who stands at the beginning shall know the end," or I mean, the vice versa. And that's again the Ouroboros thing. And I was looking at this picture. I actually have it on one of my Telegram photos of like all the ancient societies depicting that spherical torus field, and then with the plane Earth in the middle, like with basically like the Yggdrasil tree, the spine, like the hyperbola, and only Nasha, which means to deceive in Hebrew, has this ball of Earth with all the, you know what I mean, the CGI, and it's so obvious, like. So yeah, and then the other thing I wanted to say was the wiring thing, and that's exactly what you're talking about. The left brain is so not creative; it has no divine spark, so it needs all these electrical wires, because there's no wires in here, and they don't know what wireless is. They can't tap in. So anyway, yeah.
So then
That's
they just
beautiful.
accumulate and accumulate more and more, because the bigger that they grow on that path, the more that they need in order to survive.
Exactly.
And so it's just this self-fulfilling prophecy of eventual decay and destruction. And yeah, which is perfect, because it keeps the whole system from destroying itself, because it can only get so far.
Toni, I think we only have you for a little while, don't we? So we should definitely jump into the.
Yeah, I have to get up early tomorrow, so I can't be here till 11:30 or something. That's okay.
And you're like an hour ahead of us, aren't you?
Yeah, it's 9:35 here.
Yeah, what I was going to do, just to pass it back or pass it over to Toni, is the opening comments bring us full circle. So everyone would agree that what we need to do with regard to everything, including our food, is do the right thing. But whom can agree what the right thing is? And what I wanted to point out is it's such a simple thing, because all we're saying at this point is right versus wrong. So, let's not even get into, great specifics about anything at this moment. But if we're going to speak, we should speak the right things. And if we're going to breathe, we should breathe the right way. And if we're going to take thought, we should take thought the right way. And if we're going to eat, we should eat the right way. So passing it over to Toni, but what the hell is the right way? Because one person opens their mouth and then there's fighting words, Toni, to the death, with hundreds of thousands of others. Herein lies the problem.
Yeah, it's I've been learning a lot in the last few years about what the right food is, because we have been told so many lies. And even today I hear people saying, "Oh, but I eat healthy." And I'm like, what the heck is healthy? Yeah, healthy is not necessarily the right foods. And I got to a point that whenever there is any processing needed, or spices needed, or whatever addition to make it edible, palatable, then it's not the right food. And I recently learned something from, well, you could almost call him my mentor. Yeah, I learned a lot from him when I started to get on the right food. And he actually mentioned that not even salads are the right food. They're high in cellulose and we just cannot digest them. So we always come back to that, that one type of food, and that is the fruit, to keep it really simple. And you don't need any salt or pepper or curry or whatever spices. You don't need to cook it. It has to be ripe and it has to be ready to let go of where it was growing. And there you have the right food. It cannot be any simpler, easier than that.
Toni, yeah, Toni, that is so true. And it really can't be any simpler than that. And when you start looking around in terms of whop you upside the head, commonsensical truth, what we don't see are lettuce trees. And what we don't see are a lot of vegetable trees. But what we do see are fruit trees, and they grow everywhere, and they are in such abundance. And then if you take any amount of time to do any research with regard to a fruit tree, what you quickly learn is that it's a self-contained system, that there's method in everything that it does. So for example, if the tree is not going to be greatly harvested by man or woman in any given year, and the bulk of the fruit is simply going to fall back into the ground, that fallen fruit is all helping to create a very, very protective, what's called litter around the tree. And this is very, very, very important because it helps to create these layers, almost like aquifers, where water is able to collect and to be stored. And then every single layer, every single year is filled with the nutrients of the tree in and of itself. And that, of course, would be within the fruits, the seeds, but also within the leaves of the tree and any organic material that lives from the tree as well. So as the tree continues to grow, it continues to protect itself further and further and further so that it can go longer and longer periods without rain, having little or no side effect to the overall production of the tree, regardless of how much rain there is in a given year or isn't. So you talk about a level of sophistication that is self-contained in that structure, then that's what a tree is. And that's what a fruit tree in particular is. And now all of a sudden, we can gain a little bit of clarity in and amongst all of the confusion by simply knowing a little bit of truth of what is around us. And that comes just simply through observation. Because when you begin to observe, what you will see is that there are specific groupings of trees in specific areas. And where people tend to live are massive groupings of what are known as fruit trees, not lettuce trees.
Do you notice you don't have to add any salt to orange juice or any spices or anything? It's wonderful. It's just a wonderful, pure food.
Perfect.
Or watermelon or anything like that. You don't have to add anything to it. It's already sweet and beautiful, and God created it perfectly. And it makes me really sad when I can't get oranges.
Well, and it's, you know, and you often hear the argument, oh, there's no way that we could feed the world off fruit. There's not enough fruit to go around. But really, that's such a I mean, really an ignorant kind of perspective, because if you know anyone who has an abundance of fruit trees, when those fruit trees are growing, they can't give them away fast enough. There is so much fruit in abundance that it just grows and grows and grows. And as Charlie was saying, takes no maintenance. So there's no work, there's no toiling, there's no plowing needed, there's none of that.
Maybe a few insects you may have to remove.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, there are little nuances here and there, but for the most part, once you have an established tree, it is just overflowing with abundance. And so the only reason this is not possible right now is because we haven't planted enough. But
Right.
we inspire that change, and
And exactly.
and we plant enough trees. I mean, all these people who have these yards everywhere, you have a neighborhood that's everyone's growing a few fruit trees in their yard, and all of a sudden you have no issues with food and feeding everyone
That's
all the
right.
time.
And with permaculture, you wouldn't need to have the pesticides
Right.
and all of those things because the,
You wouldn't have insect problems with permaculture, because that's the whole idea of permaculture is that you allow nature to take care, to regulate itself and to take care of itself. But when you have the Rockefeller system of modern science and modern agriculture, where
perpetual
you
poison.
rape everything down to, bits of dirt, and then you build it back up again with, inert materials of gaseous based or oil based fertilizers.
If they
Well,
could have sprayed plastic all over it, they would have.
Yeah.
And gotten away with it.
Yeah.
Eating plastic fruit.
So
Mhm.
it's pure insanity. So once again, we're at that point where it's where we need to just change everything for the better in this reality, is just to start doing the right thing. But who can agree as to what the right thing is when lies are the purpose
And
of
common
this system?
sense. And
So-
common sense has been removed from us.
Because all that has existed purposefully are lies. So for 110 years, we have an entire system that is entrenched around the lie. So this is what preschools do. This is what elementary schools do. This is what grade school does. This is what graduate school or postgraduate school does as well. It all teaches the massive lie. So we now exist in a reality where, moving forward, we're going to be saying goodbye to the doctor in a conventional sense. We're going to be saying goodbye to the hospital in the conventional sense. We're going to be saying goodbye to modern medical research and researchers in a conventional sense. And we're going to be saying goodbye to dentists in a conventional sense, because they all stood around. They all knew something was wrong. They all knew that there were massive aspects of what it is that they were belonging to and participating in, but they all chose to look the other way. They all chose to suck from the tit of the Babylon whore, and they've got nobody to blame from themselves. So again, until such time that actual truth, and we talk about the real currency of this world, until actual truth is released, where people have nowhere left to run and hide, and they are simply confronted with the fact that what you're about to hear is the truth. For example, all of the missing books out of the Bible, many of them tell the story of one Christ Jesus, or Jesus Christ, or Jesus of Nazareth. And in his travels and travails, I mean, you can tell anyways from what has been left in, because everything that Jesus taught is living, not dying. So it doesn't take a massive leap of faith to be able to apply that to something as simple as food. But when the fullness and the wholeness of these 777 books or 888 books, whatever is currently available to add to what already has been put in there, you're going to see the wholeness of these teachings, which have been called perfect, and the massive weight of them have been hidden from us.
So then it's easy to obfuscate what's been written, right? And the pastors and the priests have been just kind of changing the whole narrative, because it's easy to do when you don't have the whole story, right?
We
Yeah.
have half truths.
That's right.
Yeah, so I wanted to pass this back over to Toni again, and basically get Toni's thought or viewpoint on the fact that when the first series of books start to come available to us from the New Testament of the Bible, and the teachings accredited to Jesus Christ, and Jesus is telling us, Toni, that animals are our brethren, and that we are the shepherds of this earth, and that we are living beings because God is the God of the living, not of the dead, and therefore we eat life, not death, and we certainly don't kill animals. Toni, do you think that in and of itself will be enough for the vast majority of the masses to be able to take a hard second look at their food intake?
To be honest, no, they won't. They don't want to. And I get to talk to a lot of people who are on the right path, and they have spouses or children, and they want to keep eating their meat. It's like, well, they're killed anyway, so might as well eat them. And there is no, I don't know how to turn it around, Charlie, to be honest. You can show them things and how it should be and how we really are in what eating dead flesh, rotting flesh actually does to us. It's not getting through, not yet anyway, that it makes them sick and they accept their illnesses and go to doctors and get a treatment, or so they think. And even though we are clear it's not healing you, they don't want to give it up. It is an I don't know, it's a brainwashing, programming, addiction, whatever you want to call it. And it is I see it as a very slow process. And I'm very happy to be able to talk to all the wonderful people that I do. And they do their best to get the word out. And even by using words, instead of using the word meat, I use the word rotting flesh. And, you know, it is a sentient being. How can you even eat that? And if people say, well, it's in the Bible, we were meant to eat it. It's like, well, can you eat it if I put a cow in front of you? Now, what are you going to do? But they don't want to go there that way. They don't want to go there. It is, yeah, I think that all what we can do is keep teaching, keep showing the way.
Yeah, it's that same type of cognitive dissonance of not wanting to face any truth that so many are burying their head in the sand from right now, because it's all about that responsibility, you know, because as soon as that truth is faced, then that individual has to take responsibility for why their health is deteriorating, why they don't feel good. They can't blame it on anything else outside of their decisions. And it's the same reason of not wanting to acknowledge the fact that the mainstream media lies to us. Because as soon as that truth is acknowledged and taken in, then I have to take responsibility over all the decisions I made based on these lies. So I agree with Toni that it's difficult right now, but I do see that changing very quickly as soon as all of these lies start to be uncovered, because like Charlie said, there will be no more room to hide. There will be no more room to veer away from that responsibility, and it will have to be looked at. And this is this pivotal time that we're facing where we do have to make that choice. And this is
in the road.
Yeah, this is one of those splits. And I, you know, physically, I see this playing out where we're going to be given access to healing devices like the med beds and things like that are going to help us rebalance and actually feel what it feels like to be healthy for the first time in our whole lives, to feel what it feels like to be truly healthy. And then you go try and eat a McDonald's hamburger.
And we've all tried that,
and
right?
you feel like shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Those of us who have walked on this healing path, ahead of time, who are paving the way, know that if I went out and eat some greasy French fries, I'm going to feel like shit. And this is going to be the same slap in the head that everyone's going to experience. Here's what true health feels like. Do you want that, or do you want to feel like shit? And because now you actually see the black and white difference. It's not this gray area where I can be morally gray and morally relative and, abdicate away from this eating meat thing because I don't know what true health feels like. I can't just blame it on something else. no, you're going to know what the good feels like, know what it feels like to be healthy, but you're also going to know what it feels like to go down that left-hand path, and it's going to be very, very in your face, very abrupt. And that's that's the sort of direct karmic repercussions that are going to make this transition a lot easier, because it is the time of choosing.
Yeah, Justin, that's so brilliant. And Toni, thank you for all of that as well. And what Justin is saying is the saving grace. It's why things are the way they are. It's why the straight and narrow path exists. And it's why the further you go down the straight and narrow way, the harder it is to turn around, because the path becomes straighter and narrower, so that any transgressions, you feel it. Now, that's a mercy. That's a mercy, because you work so hard, and then one moment of a batch of greasy French fries, which you think, hey, it's a vegetable, how bad can it be? But of course, it isn't food. By the time you get it, it isn't anything that resembles food. And to be food, it can't have packaging. To be food, it can't have a label of ingredients. To be food, it must be living. It can't be dead. So now go to a grocery store, and now what happens? And there's the conundrum that you're waking up to. You're waking up to the fact that supermarkets have nothing to do with food. Supermarkets are death markets. And Colleen, anyone who knows us will know this. 4 years ago, 5 years ago, when we started, that's the first things we were teaching. The first things we were teaching is that supermarkets are death markets. Processed foods are not living foods. To be a living food, it can't have a label. To be actual food, it can't have ingredients and it can't have packaging. Living food means that it's living. And the Bible teaches you, sort of page 1, that God is the God of the living, not of the dead. And every allegory that follows, every journey in the Old and New Testament teach you the same thing, that God is saying, let the dead bury the dead. You're the living. Get on with your journey. And your journey is the path that is straight and narrow. So Justin used a really key word, and that is a coma. Now, it's very interesting, because if there is one word to describe what the average person has been living for the last 110 years, and this is where all the zombie stuff comes in, it's comatose. Now, Toni knows this because Dr. Morse teaches this. When we are alkaline beings, we're going to get into the gematria. This is another massive aspect of how you can learn the simple plain truth. We're going to go over some fantastic numbers here tonight, and then correlations with the gematria of real living food. It's going to blow you away.
Can I bust one out?
So
Sure.
what's that?
Can I bust one out? Gematria.
Yeah, go ahead.
So fruit comes to 74. Jesus comes to 74. And I think that because Justin was saying it's black or white, death or life, right? And it can be summed up with lies are acidic. So all the supermarkets, they're just lying to you. It's just natural preservative. It's all bullshit. And like you said, it's either it's acidity or alkalinity. And we were talking about this common sense factor. These priests, these doctors, these dentists, they've commonly desensitized us, so that we don't know what is the truth, what is alkalinity. And the other thing is purpose. Like when you guys were talking about permaculture or the fodder, I think the one thing, the cornerstone is it has a purpose, and they've taken away the purpose. And like, if we come back to that and we realize what is purpose, it's consciousness.
Yes.
That all these things have a purpose, which implies that they have a goal, which means they're doing something for us. Like they're actually there for a reason. And we've completely forgotten that.
Well, and that's such a great point, because if everything that's living has a purpose, which is its consciousness, right? I mean, that's what our consciousness is. We're the shepherds of this earth. So our consciousness is to serve others, is to help others, is to be the pinnacle of the highest form of selflessness and care, compassion, and love, which is what God and Mother Earth are, then that's our essence. So when we're true to ourselves, then we are the shepherds of this earth, which is our true, and right down to a cellular or genetic level, that is our purpose. That is the structure, to recreate these cells which fill with consciousness, and our consciousness is here to serve all others, because we are the highest form. We are the ones that are creating God's image. And you're going to hear some amazing things like when we get to FRUGIVORE and the expressions that are tied to 121. So comatose, just getting back to that for a sec. Now, and we'll just jump this back over to Toni for a second here, because Dr. Morse teaches this. So if we're alkaline beings and we sit down and we have massive meals of acidity, then what is the fallout? What is the first thing that occurs with an alkaline body, which is what we are? We're frugivores. So with an alkaline system, just look at it, just focus on things very objectively for a sec. So with an alkaline system, we sit down, so we're grazers, we're supposed to be grazing on natural alkaline foods like fruits all day long. And then instead of consuming foods that way, what ends up happening is that we're taught to sit down. Now imagine this with breakfast, right? This is where they went to work with marketing back at the turn of the 20th century, and trying to turn breakfast into the biggest meal of the day. So suddenly from people just drinking juice in the morning to get themselves started, suddenly it became bacon. It became various fried meats. It became
And they
eggs.
tried to teach you that, or at least they tried to teach us, that this is the breakfast of champions. This is what the farmers had to have, because
Glorifying.
they needed their hearty meal in the morning to, get out there and do all their hard work. That they had to have steak and eggs and potatoes and right.
Milk,
And
like,
milk.
oh my gosh, like Dr.
Absolutely.
Morse describes that just when you like bring milk up to your mouth, it's already like mucus forming, like it's already trying to say, no,
Wow.
don't take
do
it, because we're the only species that drinks other animals' milk, which makes no sense. Anyway, and then cheese is 50 times condensed milk. Let's leave it at that.
Right. Well, and again, what is in milk is the casein protein, and the casein protein, which is 50 times more condensed in a single little block of cheese, is taking casein and making it sort of in the form of cheese, making it the sort of main ingredient to cheese. And again, your physical system doesn't know what to do with cheese, doesn't know what to do with casein protein. So what it does is it releases the very, very same brain receptors that are used when heroin is greeted into the body. In other words, that your body has no idea what to do with cheese, and for that matter, large amounts of milk. So what it does is it releases through the brain heroin receptors to be able to receive and then to be able to hold on to until it can figure out what the hell it's supposed to do. Because at the end of the day, remember, your entire endocrine system is designed to take whatever you're bringing into your system and break it down into a simple, natural sugar, glucose or fructose. That's it. That's what it does. So now try and accomplish that with, as Toni describes, dead, rotting animal tissue. And the fact of the matter is you can't, which is why it sits in your system for ages. And this is why your system, this is why the colostrum spends all of its time creating these complex amino acids that are designed to get the hell taking these dead foods out of your body as fast as is possible. It spends all of its time trying to get rid of what it is that you're spending all of this time putting in. So once again, I'll go over this and we'll pass it over to Toni. They teach you that breakfast is the most important meal of the day, and then what then occurs with eggs. An egg is designed to keep a chicken embryo alive for 28 days, an entire cycle. So that's not good for you, okay? It's great for a chicken embryo, but you're not a chicken embryo. And then you're taking meat and dead rotting tissue in this form, which is, the worst parts of a tortured pig, and which produces massive amounts of its own grease. And then you're dipping your bread into that, you're pouring that all over your eggs, and then that's what goes inside of your body. Now that, as Toni knows and Dr. Morse teaches, is what's called toxic shock. And what first occurs within our body is what is known as a state of comatose. So this is why after you see people eat large meals, they literally, if you simply take a step back and observe them, you will observe them becoming comatose, because they literally have been poisoned, and they are now in what is called toxic shock.
Like ejaculation.
And then these are the consequences. So we'll pass that back over to Toni, because we're frugivores, and we simply require a pure and natural sugar, which is what fruits give us. But instead, we are eating massive amounts of food, and it's massively acidic food that then puts us into a comatose state. And when you do this morning, noon, and night, you literally turn into a zombie. And the single biggest way to express what a zombie is somebody who is permanently comatose. So Toni, jump in with this toxic shock from the acidosis that's created with our modern diet.
Yeah, I would actually wanted to point something out when you mentioned we have a breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And I don't know when it happened, but all of a sudden we had snacks. So that meant, mid-morning, mid-afternoon, evening, we eat snacks. So we actually went from 3 meals to sometimes 4, 5, 6 meals, eating even more, and usually sweets and chocolate and more junk. And you touched on grazing, that we are grazers, but when we are on a completely frugivore diet, so we eat fruits, ripe fruits, I don't know if you probably noticed that we need less food. We don't eat for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. We eat once in a while, and the longer you are on it and the more alkaline you get, the less food that you need. So when people say that, there is not enough fruit for all of us, actually, when we get on all the fruit, there will be, because we just need less. We are so focused on food. Everything is about food. It is like you celebrate something, or you're sad, or you're happy, you need food. And then you have the holidays with specific other foods that you need a lot of, and the gatherings that are all around food. And this is a difficult, how do you say that, occurrence happening?
Ritual.
To change that in people. Because it's like not right now in the stores for the Halloween part. And there are specific foods, and Thanksgiving will be coming up, and there's other stuff for Christmas that you have to eat. You're crazy if you don't. I like the idea of when you talk about grazing, you just eat whenever. And we tend to be easily hungry. And what I personally noticed is that when I'm on, when I feel, let's just say, when I fear of my all fruit and I incorporate other things like the zucchini bread or millet bread, I am easily hungry and I want more food. When I'm on just simple, apples or apple juice, it's like I'm not hungry. I don't know if you guys noticed that, but that it makes a big difference in it with everything.
Yes, ma'am.
Well,
A huge difference.
yeah, well, and just to kind of add a layer to that, when we eat all of these foods that our bodies are not designed for, especially the flesh, but it includes many food groups that our bodies can't really digest. What do we invite that has to be there to help us process them? We start to invite all of these parasites into our system. So when we're constantly eating this death, we're feeding these parasites, continually accumulating more parasites, and these parasites are craving, and then they start to crave more food. So it just enters into this cycle to where we're not even feeding ourselves. We're just controlled by these little demons
Can I,
that are adding to this desire to eat even more. So
Beautiful.
going to the fruit, you get rid of the parasites, and you start to just feed yourself, because that's what we're designed for.
And so I'll just quickly interject and then right back to you guys. But this was sort of the whole point of why starting the show this way and working towards solutions. And that's this. The fact of the matter is, when you participate in meat, dairy, and eggs, it's the parasites that do most of the eating within you. You don't, because your body doesn't know what to do with dead, rotting tissue. All it's trying to do is get rid of it. So who teaches you this stuff? Dr. Morse teaches you this stuff. There are Dr. Sebi taught these things. There are those that have come along and have shared this. But the vast majority, the fact of the matter is, the vast majority teach you the big lie. And the big lie is that for you to be big, strong, and healthy, then you have to eat big, strong, and healthy foods, which of course is idiotic, because the biggest, strongest creatures that we know of and exist are virtually all frugivores, or they're all a mixture of frugivores and herbivores. And that all we do when we eat something like a cow is that we're murdering the middleman. So we're simply going, well, cows are big and strong, so yeah, that makes sense, to be able to kill and to eat them. What do they eat? Living food. They eat plants. They eat living food. You should see what they do to fruit that drops off of the trees. They gobble it up as fast as they can. So that's what they do. But instead of, if you want to be big and strong, like a gorilla,
Rhino.
then you observe the gorilla or the rhino or the cow, and you do what they do. You don't murder them to be able to do what they do.
but that's what a Canaanite does.
But that's exactly what a Canaanite does. So I'm going to pass it back over to Justin and Colleen and Eugene, because Justin, that was brilliant. That's what we're dealing with.
I just had one thing to say.
We're just dealing with a reality where the vast majority of food that you put into your body does nothing for you whatsoever. Your system works nonstop, morning, day, and night, to be able to get rid of this crap. And who does most of the eating? It's the parasites. And then you all freak out because you got parasites living and you want to get rid of them. But of course, they're there because you're putting dead, rotting tissue into your system. That's the insanity of where we find ourselves with this modern diet.
Now, the body's amazing, right? It's God created it perfectly. And the system knows when you put food into it, and it's looking for food. So when you put all of that excess acidosis, meat, dairy, and eggs and processed foods into your system, and your body gets hungry in a little bit, it's because it's like, oh dear God, you haven't fed me any food yet. Can you feed me some food?
That's
And your body's just going like, I'm aware of what you put in me. I'm Al the chemist, and I can't process any of this stuff. So just give me a minute. So that it has to process all of that stuff. It does its best, and it just stores all the toxins as distally as it can. So that's why you end up getting arthritis in your hands and feet and fingers, and trying to get away from your vital organs. So it pushes it as far away as it can, but your body's still going, but when are you gonna give me some food? So I'm hungry.
So what Colleen is saying ties into exactly what Toni was saying earlier, which is that now came this advent in the 20th century of snacking between meals. Now, do you get it? Do you see why your body is screaming out for food in between the breakfast, in between the lunch, and in between the dinner? Because it's starving. It's starving, but you eat Oreo cookies, which have no resemblance to food. It's not food. So then you've now had 2 meals. You had a breakfast and you had a snack, and you still haven't put any food. So here's the insanity of the situation. You continue to get fatter and fatter and fatter. But what's happening is that you're literally starving to death inside of you because you have no actual food inside of you while you get bigger and bigger. Because what Colleen just said is the absolute truth. Everything that your body does is to try to get it out of the way in preparation for real food that surely has to be coming. It has to appear at some point, right? Oh my God, an apple. Wow, there we go. So it pushes all of this shit to the extremities, which is why you get big fat toes and big fat fingers and every aspect of it just becomes big and fat and swollen. Everything about you is swollen. So now if we look at images of children starving in Africa, what do we see that kind of belies the fact that they're starving to death? We see that they have huge tummies. So it's like, well, if they're starving, why do they have such big tummies? Because they're swollen, they're starving, and their entire systems inside are swollen, attempting to process all of this toxicity, and their systems are wide open waiting for actual food. And then what do? What does the UN do? Drops them grains.
Milk and milk,
Drops
powdered milk.
powdered milk and grains.
And you wonder why the fermentation, their bellies are like that because they're fermenting everything inside, right, Toni?
Yeah, that's exactly it. And then you come to the GI tract, it's what you mentioned, Charlie, it's also what also is happening with all the bad food that people have been eating. You have your whole GI tract is like clogged with black, it almost looks like black tar when it finally comes out. So you can barely absorb any of the nutrition, the little nutrition that you bring in with all your other foreign substances, because all the food that is, 99.99% in the supermarket, it is not food, it's foreign substance to the body. And it all stays. When you clean out, people lose about 10, 20 pounds when they start cleaning out. And then they are afraid because they lost so much weight. And that is, because they think it is because the fruit doesn't have any nutrition. And it is because all the junk is finally coming out.
Yeah, that's crazy. Dr. Moore says that the most important things for your body is digestion, absorption, utilization, and elimination.
Exactly.
And he says the biggest problem among man is malabsorption. And I would also say elimination too, because we're just not getting this crap out of us, like these parasites out of us, which we're doing right now on a macrocosmic scale too. But
Right. As above, so
But
below.
exactly.
But just remember, just to quickly, again, to give you the wholeness of what we're talking about, these parasites are what are giving you 65 shitty years. So just what you need to wrap your minds around the fact is this: without the parasites, you'd be dead at 30. The average life expectancy, if we didn't have parasites, you'd be dead of malnutrition by 30. With all this food surrounded by nothing but supermarkets and food, you'd be dead by malnutrition at 30 if it wasn't for the parasites. The parasites are the only reason you're living to a shitty 65.
There's probably people out there that go, can we buy some parasites? Because I'd really like to eat some pizza tonight. Toni, I wanted to talk to the fact that you said that it's going to be very difficult for people to change, and I agree with that. And the one thing that you know, we've been told time and time again is that there are 4 to 6% that may not make this transition. There is a group of people that are not going to want to change. And part of it is because they're Satanists, and they're just pure dark inside, and they've lost so much of their God essence that they're just not going to want to make the change. And they're really going to not want to give up the things that they've grown very attached to. And that is the Luciferian Satanist way, we've all participated in some of that until you know better and you do better. And then when you look back, you're just like, you're horrified at the things that we used to do.
Yeah.
But there are going to be people absolutely that are just not going to want to they're not going to want to hear anything, because ego does not want to change. If it thinks that you're going to usurp its power, because it's negated to the 10%, and it has a slot and it has a balance, and there's a space for it, and it's essential, because you can't kill the left side of your brain. You don't want to. It's a part of us. God created it, but it's going to have to go into its exact place. Yes.
Exactly.
And then the 90%, which is the God way, is going to take over, and the ego doesn't want that at all. The Canaanite part of you wants to have full control because it's afraid.
Yeah, can I add to that? Because
You sure can.
that left side wants to take heaven by force. That 90%
Yes.
is the promised land. And by the way, I used to be the most carnivorous piece of crap ever. Like, I used to go on carnivore diets. Before that, I used to eat like milk with cereal like every single day. Gosh, and spam fried rice. That was like the main thing. But anyway, proteins. What do we call proteins? Amino acids. It's literally in the name. And what are acids? They're nitrogen, which is fire, because nitrogen, one of the 4 platonic things, has to do with fire, which is the masculine, again, acidic side, which burns. That's why you get hot after you have these acidic meals in your body. And what's the opposite side to that? Is the mother, is water. It's the feminine, right? It's the cooling.
And it puts out the fire.
It's hydration. It's hydro, exactly. And it cools everything down. And let's see. Yeah, it's the negative side of chemistry. That's it.
That's beautiful, Eugene. Beautiful. Thank you.
And you talk about, Colleen, you talk about the resistance to the left brain wanting to leave. I mean, it's so beautifully symbolized in how we deal with parasites as well, because these parasites, when we invite them into our body, and we need them, if we're eating death, we need these parasites or we die, because if you consume death and you don't have parasites, it rots in your system and you will die if that happens. It putrefies and yeah. So we need the parasites for that. But as soon as we start to shift our diet, and anyone who's gone in this process, myself included, when you start to get rid of your parasites, they don't like it. They reach out and they grab hold of you. Yeah, they steer your emotions. They drive you towards cravings. And then they can drive you into sickness. They can steer you into, people have flu-like symptoms or get mouth ulcers or experience all sorts of sort of negative things. But this is the same as the left brain does when we start to identify it and start to work on getting rid of its grip and its hold onto us. So all our left brain is, all the cabal is, all of this is, it's just a parasite that we have to identify and let go of, let go of this need for, this to have it so it controls us.
So you get all of that, what Justin, Eugene, and Colleen and Toni are all saying. Again, it all ties in, isn't it? It's amazing how this always works with Hermetic principle: as above, so below, as within, so without, the universe, so with the soul. So we are going through this 6,000-year period of weaning ourselves off the tit of the Babylon whore, where we have been ruled over by parasites, literally, figuratively, in every way, shape, and form. And what are we finding out about the Bible? What we're finding out about every single aspect of our reality is that for every allegorical truth that the Bible has, there's a literal story attached to it, because this is the one story, because this is beauty, perfection, and grace, and it has inspired countless amounts of people to go on this incredible journey, to risk everything to seek God no matter what. And so this is what we find is that no matter what we do, no matter where we go, is that the literalization plays itself out. The literalization plays itself out through the allegories of the teachings.
What's wrong?
If you guys just want to get it before it
What is it?
moves this way.
What is it?
What is it?
Oh, so that's the incredible aspect to all of this incredible story is that as allegorical as everything clearly is to teach us, it always plays itself out literally because this is the one story. This is the way, and it will affect all of us positively or negatively, whether we choose to be electrical or magnetic. So whether we choose to hydrate ourselves or whether we choose to starve ourselves to death. So speaking to Toni, and then we'll pass this right back over to Toni again with this, but the answer are our children. So when Justin and Colleen are talking about the left brain and the right brain, Eugene as well, and the importance of getting away from that piece to the puzzle. That's what your left brain is. It's just a piece. It's one piece out of 10. It is one piece to the puzzle. It's an important piece, but it's only a piece to the puzzle. The puzzle is the field. The puzzle is the system. The puzzle is the way, which is magnetism. And so where do we find the least amount of cabal in any of us? Our children. Why do you think the cabal hate our children?
Purity.
And target our children more than anything else? Because they don't have, our children don't have the cabal in them. And so, do they hate them? Do they hate them? And so you look at these disgusting upside down glow ball liars like, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, who's, woman, and she's all about Roe versus Wade, which has nothing to do with abortion, but she's all about abortion. We got to protect abortion because a woman has to have her rights to be able to murder a living, breathing creation. That
Which
is insane.
I think in Texas right now, or where is it that they're having that,
It's Texas.
the big vote for the abortion, right?
Oh, geez.
Yeah. It's happening right now. Isn't it?
Yeah, I think Texas passed a law to make abortion illegal completely. And at the federal level, they're trying to fight it under the Biden administration. They're trying to fight that, and
Under the James Woods administration.
yeah, which is just it's great because it's really inspiring a lot of people in Texas and otherwise to see
Wow.
just how
The demonic intentions.
how far the government is willing to go to murder children.
And how far we've fallen to allow that incredible situation
Right.
to exist around us.
To champion those people, to champion
Yeah, you're
women
right.
that
You know,
are
it is
killing
my
children
body.
who
It's
need to be
my
protected.
body. And how many young women actually believe that at this
Yeah.
day and age? They actually believe it's my body and I have a right. And if I get pregnant and I don't want to keep it, it's like, that's how far we've fallen.
It's the worst sin.
That's how far
So
we've
Targeting
fallen.
children.
Yeah, so you have Ruth Bader Ginsburg, which is a dude, which is a guy pretending to be a woman and who's championing abortion, and then says, hey, what we need to do is recognize that, guys that want to date children is perfectly normal and that we have to normalize this. So I think 12 is a good first start. To be able to say that a 12-year-old, that's perfectly legal for, a 50-year-old man to walk down, the street with, chiclets in his pocket and pick up a 12-year-old girl for sexual purposes. I mean, that's insane. That's absolutely insane. And that's the same parasite that we're killing ourselves with the food. And that same parasite is running the highest court of the land. What do we hear just the other day about Justice Kavanaugh of the Supreme Court? Kavanaugh just got COVID. He just got the COVID. And when you get that COVID, it's not a good thing. So whether that means that they just took him out or that they finally gave the one-way trip to Fiestaville and Gitmo is one or the other. But the fact of the matter is that there will hell to be paid. So it's our children. And Toni, this is the way I really believe, and I want to get your thoughts on this as well, that moving forward. Now, Justin is absolutely right about the med beds. Med beds are going to help the masses, because when the med bed rightfully reestablishes health within you, you go right back to your Coke and your Pepsi and your McDonald's burger. You're going to suffer in pain and agony because that machine just put you back to level. That just cleaned you out, and then you just quickly toxify. You want to feel the wrath of the mother within you as you attempt to toxify her once again. So that'll be the. But what I'm saying is that our educational system will teach the basic truths of who we are and what we are to our children, and then they will lead the way, and they will show the way to the masses, and they will then look at their parents and go, what are you doing? And remember that when you eat living foods, it means you're alive, and God is the God of the living, which means that you're then connected to God. So then you're tapping into the Akashic records. And then all of a sudden, we now have created a system of alkaline children eating fruits, raw foods, who are geniuses with parents who are complete morons. And this will stick out like sore thumbs. And this is where the great change, in my opinion, will occur. So let's pass that to Toni, and then Justin and Colleen and Eugene jump back in with that as well.
The funny thing with children is, if you give them an option, talking about young children, very young children, if they have an option to grab some food or a piece of chocolate or a piece of meat, they will always grab the fruit. It just comes natural. And from, like 6 months old, we force them to have the first meat and potatoes and cooked vegetables. And that is so bad. It's unbelievable. And people nowadays, they still don't want to believe that fruit is all they really need. It's not an addition of a whole bunch of supplements, which is also considered food by some, and they spend hundreds and hundreds of dollars a month on all the supplements, saying it is healthy and we need it. And yeah, we come always back to the fruit. And what you mentioned is children are way more intelligent if they are. It's amazing if they are on all fruit, or at least not the taking in all the foreign substances that make them comatose. And that just reminds me something like ADHD. When I was a child, and even as a teenager in the 50s, 60s, I had never heard of ADHD. This is something from the last years. And it's like a given. It's like 1 in 5 children has ADHD, and it's all normal, and you take medication for it, and that's just that. You have that for the rest of your life, but it didn't exist. And here you come back to food again. Well, food and probably foreign substances that are injected in us. But yeah, that is one part with the children that I do worry. If can we take that back? Can we how do you say that? Turn it back to how it was, 50s when there were not so many vaccines, and vaccines should be completely outlawed, in my opinion. There's no need for it at all. I have seen, it actually was when I was taking Dr. Morse's iridology classes, we were amongst all fruitarians. It was amazing. It was an amazing energy. And all these children, how they were playing with each other, how smart they were, how easy. They interacted with adults, with other children, with animals, and I was like, oh, it was a pleasure to see that, and especially how intelligent they were. And when my daughter was born, and that is now 50 years ago, what was it? Yesterday, 50 years ago. And I was like, the way I'm now into the healthy food, into herbs. I knew everything about herbs, and we were going to change the world. And you guys know that. I mean, the older ones over there, it's about the hippies, and how we changed, and everything was going to change in the world, and it was taken away again. And we wanted, my daughter went to what was called in the Netherlands, the Rudolf Steiner School. Here they call it the Waldorf School, because I thought, this is how we're going to change the world. And now we have this chance again, and actually, I think we are stronger. We know more. We know more about what we need to, fight. I don't really like the word fight, but what we need to do to make the changes. And that's all I can keep doing, is inform people so that they feel that they have the power or control over themselves, and not a doctor or the TV or a teacher who tells you how things have to be and how you have to raise your children. That's another thing. And if you don't do it that way, then we can take your child away. There are a lot of things that have to change in the very near future. And that to me, that is all, cabal, devil, negativity, and I'm seeing changes. I'm seeing changes with how people raise their children. And I think it's beautiful and important, very, very important.
I think what's happening with COVID and how the doctors are going to be held culpable for the obvious negation of truth and science that they have participated in. I think that's going to be part of the dismantling of the system that we have all grown, we've all grown so disdain for. We absolutely know that it's part of the satanic system. And I think that when the masses see what the doctors have been prescribing, I think that the system, like Trump says, the cabal is going to implode. They're going to bring themselves down. The political system will bring itself down. And that's exactly what needs to happen, because you can't tell the people, you have to show the people. And so when it happens on its own volition, I think it's beautiful. So I think that this is a really, really, really important part that's happening right now with this whole COVID thing, even though this is the silver lining, I think, in what's happening, right?
And then in the Batman movie, I think it was the second one, the doctors were made to look like the hostages, and they put the innocent people as the clowns. So that's exactly what's happening right now. Like, we're in like a huge psych ward where the people that are the patients are actually normal, and the doctors are batshit crazy. And I think this is solidified. You were talking about ADHD, but I think also depression is like a huge problem amongst like children. They're just depressed all the time. And what do the doctors do? Here, pills is an anagram for slip. Here, slip, just keep slipping. And so
slipping down, right?
Exactly.
Down to your uncles.
And what do these antidepressants do? They suppress your amygdala. So they suppress your fear response. Whereas something like magic mushrooms increases your amygdala response. So you have to go more into your fears. So what these doctors are doing are basically not letting them confront who they are, what they are. And I'll bring some more gematria into this. So yeah, I said fruit 74, Jesus 74, simple 74. And isn't it interesting? Toni was talking about how if you give the child an option between all these things, they go for the simple thing. They go for the fruit. They go for Jesus. And and then the other thing you guys were talking about, the government's like just their horrific actions, the governed mind, right? They always push milk on children. You just got to have milk. If you don't have milk, you're not going to live. So yeah, that's what I wanted to say.
Exactly.
Yeah, well, and that's why as we start to see this unravel, it's the whole movie is designed to piss everyone off, because that's what it takes to get everyone to say never again. And we've all come to that. We've all decided to come to that space ahead of time. We've decided to be leaders within that, which is why it's sometimes difficult for us to watch and have patience as this movie plays out. But everyone has to get to this point to where they're so ready to be pissed off. They're so ready to say never again, that we do look to all of these characters, these clowns, these people who have been holding us hostage, and we say, fuck you guys,
Yeah.
like no more.
Yeah.
It's not gonna work.
And isn't that happening all around the world right now? We're seeing Australia just taking up and grabbing each other's arms, and they're running down and just saying no more, no more. And then someone ran into a court and they said, we're actually going to come to arrest all of you who were in this building because you're all criminals. So absolutely, I love it. Championing we the people.
Hunters become the hunted.
Yes, Red October.
Red October, again, don't kid yourselves. We talked about these various filmmakers that were put through hell to be able to make these films. These are, sort of brilliant creations that have been allowing the average person, without knowing that anything was happening or going on, but it gave you a little bit of hope, it gave you a little bit of faith that maybe that there are some good people out there, that maybe there's going to be consequences for all these evil people that just seem to be running amok, and that there are never any consequences for any of them. Well, that's why these movies have existed. This is why you John Galt people, which is the show we're going to do Wednesday night, which is this, what is the John Galting process? Why is it so important? And why the likes of Keanu Reeves, we have to go out of our way. We have to go out of our way to transmutate, a relatively talented but simple individual and elevate them into something very, very special. Because in the darkness, when no one was watching, these people who chose to be on the right-hand side of things, when nobody was watching, when all the good roles are going to everyone who just simply kowtowed to these demons, who chose Satan over God, who chose Satan over Jesus Christ, who gave away the kindness of man and the kindness of women just to be able to have fame, fortune, and celebrity with all of this fake money, fake boobs, fake lips, fake fame, fake love, fake. It's all fucking fake. Someone like Keanu Reeves said no. And there was nobody around when Keanu Reeves said no. He did it because it was the right thing to do. He chose God when no one was around to help him to choose God. And we have to elevate these. We're not supposed to be your own hero, but in the meantime, these people are freaking heroes. They are heroes. What Colleen was reading to me, and I always said to you guys, we've said it all along, Brendan Fraser, the Canadian actor who, played in The Mummy and Journey to the Center of the Earth and everything else. Of course, he's a good guy. I mean, you can just see kindness in everything that he does. You can see honesty and integrity in everything he does. Big star with The Mummy, and then, can't get a role. What did Brendan Fraser come out and what was he saying today? Colleen was reading to me, saying that that he just left Hollywood after a while because he was sick and tired of being hit on as for homosexuals to be a sexual slave, to be a piece of meat for homosexuals in Hollywood. And what did he say? What did he say? He said, I have to give a huge shout out to
My brother,
who's his brother in arms?
Keanu Reeves.
Keanu Reeves, who stood up for him and helped him to be strong and to show him the way in the face of all of this sexual harassment. And he said, I got to hand it over to my brother, Keanu Reeves. right? These are heroes because they chose God when everybody else was selling us out. And that's what the music industry, this is why we do what we do with all of those songs, to show you that these beautiful kids were not going to, to sell their souls for super fame and super fortune and super popularity. Nah, they just kept doing their thing, making their little albums every year, like a band with America, like, their first album, unbelievable, sold, 5, 6, 7 million copies, whatever. Every album after sold less and less and less. Isn't it supposed to go the other way? And those albums that came after were great albums. Look at the second album, Homecoming. And that's an incredible, sold less and less and less because the Satanists in the music industry don't get behind albums that are promoting God. Don't get behind albums that say, get behind me, Satan. Stop ravishing the land. Does it take the children to make you a better man? Yeah, well, we can't get behind that. Can't get behind that. But does anybody know when Beyonce turns 11 so we can start, getting her singing some songs? Yeah, then we can get some real fame. So at the heart and soul of this process, which is why, negative 48, Michael Brian Protzman, as we shared with you, is a calm, is all part of this great puzzle that is being unveiled to us over time, is such a key aspect because he's taking numerology to another level. And he's doing this through this simple gematria where A is 1 and Z is 26. Okay, simple God's creation, and it's beautiful. So early in the show, to break things open, Eugene was saying, so fruit is 74. Jesus is 74. Simple gematria. Messiah is 74. And if you want to go through sort of the fullness of it,
simple is 74.
and the word simple is 74. Gospel is 74. Cross is 74.
And for those of you who don't know, gematria is the letters A to Z. They all have a numerical value. And so A is 1, B is 2, C is 3, and Z is 26.
It's
So
right.
those are
sacred
about-
geometry.
Right.
Yeah, and it is sacred geometry, and you can see
And this
the
is God's
magic in the
language.
building blocks of these words. So FRU, is an incredibly important prefix to any word because of the numbers that it creates right off the bat. So with F is 6 and R is 18. Immediately that gives you 24, which is the inverse of 12 to 24, and then U is 21. So 24 and 21 gives you 45. So FRU
Wow.
is 45, which is that God intervention, the miracle of an angel coming forward and intervening on God's behalf, which is that 45, FRU, right? And
Because
this
4
is
plus 5 is 9, and 9 is divine.
that's right. So to be able to get 74 for fruit, F is 6 and R is 18 and U is 21 and I, the divine I, which is 9, which takes it to 54, the inverse of 45, and then T is 20. 54 and 20 is 74. So Jesus is 74. Gematria is 74.
What?
Yeah. And code of God is 74. And God as a code is 74. And of course, as we said, Jesus 74. English is 74. And that's fruit. And that's what fruit is. So you think that there's a reason why the word fruit has such company? Is all of this random? Or is the greatest gift of negative 48 simply showing you that there are no such thing as coincidences in God's creation?
Because these numerals have a frequency. And when you get all these letters, these sigils together, A to Z, and you put them together in this beautiful spelling, you get this frequency. And so these frequencies have connections. and these connections join each other. So it's a beautiful story,
In the beginning, yeah, in the beginning was the word.
right?
God, the
man
word
made
made flesh. God, man made flesh. George Washington Carey. You have to have that book. So now Colleen is just going to just put in frugivore. So when we eat fruit, what does that make us? It makes us what we truly are, which are frugivores. By the way, if you in a public post, if you try to type in the word frugivore, it shows it as a spelling mistake. And that's because the system doesn't recognize the word frugivore as an actual legitimate word. Wow, it's one of the first words, and it's what we are frugivores. Okay, but the system doesn't acknowledge that frugivore is even a word, just so you know. So when we eat fruit, we're a frugivore. What is the simple gematria of frugivore? Anyone know?
121.
121.
Oh, wow.
121, where A is 1 and U is 21. 121, a frugivore means you're gold. Because what's the elemental symbol of gold?
AU.
AU, where A is 1 and U is 21, 121. Now, in terms of this magical sacred geometry, there's only two ways in which you can achieve the
can I
number
add-
121. What are
That
they?
would be 11, and 4. And funny enough, 74 comes to 11 when you add 7 and 4 together. And right before we skip 74, I want to add to think mirror. 47 is John. Would that be John? And funny enough,
Exactly.
like, the fruit, user fruct comes from the fruit. It's using the fruits of your labor. So it goes back to that as well. And then let's see, what's the last thing I wanted to say? And then 74. So 7 would be crown, 4 would be heart. So it's also the lion and the lamb laying down together. What the heck?
That's
Anyway,
awesome.
Okay, I'm
Yeah.
done.
That's
Yeah.
beautiful.
Heart. So what Eugene's talking about is heart chakra 4 of 7 and the crown chakra 7 of 7. And then the lion and the lamb, and that is the lion lying down with the lamb in the Garden of Eden, which is the green plane of existence, which is that level earth, which is green like the mother, which is green like the heart chakra. Okay, so 121. There's only two ways in which you can achieve 121. You can take 1 and add it together 121 times. 1 plus 1 plus 1, 121 times creates 101. Or the only other way to create 121 is 11 times 11. Oh my God. So frugivore is 1111. And where's God? Where's God?
Between the temples.
Between the two temples, right? I mean, that's what the Bible teaches
Calling
you,
you to
sort of
eat fruit.
page 1.
And then mass star together it becomes 22, which is V.
Oh my God. So you take a look at these words and these are the building blocks.
And so it's the mother between the two fathers, father on either end.
Yeah, exactly. And of course, this is where all the messages come to us is in the symbology of 1111. Well, then what happens when you eat fruit? Oh, because isn't that what Colleen's been teaching you for 4 years as we went to the frugivore diet entirely? That's what Colleen was saying is that all of the darkness leaves you, all of the doubt leaves you, all of the lies have to leave you, because all that's left when you're eating fruit is truth, because that's what fruit clearly is. And that's what being a frugivore is the truth. Jesus, the way, Messiah, you fill yourself up with these miracles. And so where are all the messages coming from? When you eat fruit, when you eat a mango, when you eat fruit, when you drink orange juice, when you're eating watermelon. And again, like I'm going to get Colleen to put watermelon in a second, and wait till you see what the gematria and then the
Right.
the
But look at how
unified
much
words.
information there is in
Yes.
in water, right?
That's right.
And so you absorb all of that gnosis of the mango and all of that. I mean, it's the mother's
The
right
light-
there.
The light of the Father.
And when you get rid of all of the crap inside of you and you've just got the mother and wow. Yeah. Wow.
So is there anything else besides this overwhelming stuff about Frugivore 121 to be able to add to this? All knowledge 121. All knowledge is in being a frugivore. Okay. God Almighty 121. Second coming 121. Lord Himself 121. Gematria of God 121. Oh my goodness. I mean, it goes on and on and on. And it does. It goes on and on and on and on.
Yeah,
Cosmic Christ, God of Jesus, 121, 121,
We've
121.
heard Michael talk for hours,
Yes.
That's
going
right.
on and on about different numbers. It's amazing.
And thank you, Michael. You keep talking for hours and hours. Michael, Colleen was saying, Michael finished a show at 2 a.m. last night, and then he's been talking all day long. And he doesn't sound very well right now. And
He actually sounds pretty good for what he's doing.
yeah,
Holy cow.
and so Michael,
Oh,
bless
wow.
you, bless you, bless you, bless you, bless you. We love you with all of our hearts and our souls. We love you, love you, love you. Now, Colleen, just right in there, let's go ahead and let's add in watermelon. Okay, so blowing you away with fruit and frugivore, watch this. Watermelon.
And then, yeah, what she's doing, that 22 becomes mass star number, because as we're on this journey, it leads us to that thing. And then 22, 2 reduced becomes 4, 121 reduced becomes 4 too. So it's the fourfold nature, it's the cross, it's the crucifixion. So it's all there.
Yeah, and what are the three mass star numbers? 11, 22, and 33. 11, 22, 33. Okay, so Collywog, what is the number for watermelon? 126.
Oh, wow.
126. 1 plus 2 is 3 plus 6 is 9.
Divine.
Just so you know, so 126 equals 9. And okay, now what are some of the things here? Lord of Light, Lord Christ,
No, say the number after.
126.
Well,
Yeah,
after
so
each
so
word,
so all of these, the simple gematria of all of these expressions are 126. Okay, so once again, watermelon is 126, which is 9, which is divine. And what else is 126? Lord of Light. 126. Lord Christ. 126. Oh, I
Wow.
can't wait for some of those books in the New Testament to come out talking about what Jesus was eating. I'll bet you it was watermelon. And I'll bet you he was spitting seeds at all of those money counters, in the money temples. I'll bet you. King of Israel, 126. Ray of the Lord, 126. Heaven Gates, 126. Lord is alive, 126. What else we got here? Oh yeah, I gotta love this. 107. 107 is 126 as well. God number code 126.
Did you say Lord Christ was 126?
Yeah.
So God number code Lord Christ, and 1 to 26 is the English alphabet, right? And
Yeah,
so
that's right.
1 plus 2 plus and so on up to 26 is 351, which becomes Jesus Christ is the English alphabet 351. And then what was the other one? God communicates in numbers 351. Like it's just insane. Anyway.
I feel like Michael's
Yeah.
here.
So God number code 126, zodiac signs 126, God embedded the zodiac 126. Oh, wow. Okay, and that's all watermelon. Wow. Okay, so that's really cool. Now, last night we've been telling everyone this is really important. It's really important. Get off your asses, watch it again, because every time you're going to learn more and more and more. So we re-watched V for Vendetta last night, okay? And sure enough, we just found more and more and more stuff. And then at the end of the movie, it was it was just the most amazing thing, because we just found stuff nonstop throughout the movie.
And
So-
just a quick note,
Yeah.
most of these movies that we talk about are on my link tree available to download. So if you haven't watched a lot of these goodly godly movies that we're talking about, they're all there if you can find my link tree. So if anyone needs
Yeah.
that, help them out.
Fantastic list.
So and again, I mean, if you're doubting this, I mean, it's not even, it's a white hat movie. It means that they're behind the Wachowskis. They're behind the Matrix movies. They're behind V for Vendetta. And this is, and I'm going to show you this. This is Trump and this is JFK Jr. This powerfully is, and it's being encoded within the movie. And they're very likely playing roles within the movie as well. So as the movie ends, because I don't want to get into a huge amount of this tonight, but when the movie ended last night, it was interesting. Just before it goes into the credits, there's a black screen comes up and it says, in loving memory of Adrian Biddle, BSC, Adrian Biddle. And so as soon as I saw that, I just paused everything and I said to Colleen, get the old gematrix.org calculator at the ready and let's go through Adrian Biddle, because oh my God, is there ever a code? Clearly that this is a code.
So you were divinely inspired. This
Yeah.
This clicked with you and you said, we've got to do the gematria of
Yeah.
Adrian Biddle, BSc.
That's right.
Obviously, perhaps standing for Bachelors of Science.
Yeah.
So we did.
So we're going through, and Colleen did a quick check, and it's somebody who was involved with regard to the camera work, with regard to the movie, and he died at 53. Very interesting, hey? He
Mirror is
died,
35.
which 53 is the
JFK,
year of
eternity.
35, JFK, Adrian Biddle.
In the Bible, hope.
Unfortunately, died just at the end of the making of the film, because of course JFK would have to die and go away. Adrian Biddle would have to go away at the end of the movie once the movie's over, because there's no Adrian Biddle.
Okay, so
So,
continue. Why do you think that?
so Adrian, so then I'm just quickly doing in my head, A is 1, D is 4, so that's 5, and R is 18, that's 23, and 9, the divine 9 is 32, and then once again, A is 1, 33, and then N is 14, 33 and 14, 47, John. Oh, so Adrian Biddle, the gematria of Adrian is 47, which is John. Just saying, this loving memory of Adrian Biddle just happens to be John,
Now, you may
47.
think, okay, that's a coincidence, or it's a far stretch or whatever, but keep
It
going.
keeps going. It keeps going. And the inverse of 47 is 74, Jesus, just so you know. And fruit, by the way, and then Biddle. So on, like B is 2 and I, the divine I. So that gives you 11 right off the bat. DI is 11. And then it's DD, which would be 4, which is 8, which gives you 19. And then L is 12, so that's 31. And 31, and then 5 is 36. 3 and 6 is 9 or 36. And you're just going, oh, wow. Wow. Okay. So when you add Adrian Biddle together, then the simple gematria.
Oh, with BSc. I added the BSc.
Oh, yeah. Adrian Biddle with the BSc. And by the way, without the BSc, it's magical as well. But so in this one, Colleen added because it was in loving memory of Adrian Biddle BSc. So doing the total simple gematria, Adrian Biddle 107, or Adrian Biddle BSc is 107.
17.
Okay, but wait.
Now you take the 0 out
but
because it
wait.
has no value
Yeah.
and it's 17.
And the way that's 107 and that's 17, because in gematria we don't count the 0. So that's 17. John 47, John Biddle 107, 17Q. Okay. 107, hey.
107.
Castle Rock,
Where's-
107.
Wow.
Ever Given, 107. Aquarius,
Oh
107.
my gosh.
Quantum, 107.
And Charlie, isn't Aquarius January, Joanna, and it comes to John the Baptist?
Yeah. Yes. God on Earth, 107. Trump Ahead, 107. Superman, 107. Earthquake, 107. Holy Grail, 107. Now, the only thing is that now, Ring of Fire, 107, military, 107. But also, Colleen, going through this now, wasn't it the Messiah 107, but wasn't it also 107 is negative 48? Or is negative 48 just Adrian Biddle?
Yeah, I don't remember how we.
So quickly,
Ah.
just quickly type in negative 48 and let's see, because when we did it last night, negative 48 came up. So once again, it's Adrian Biddle. Adrian is 47, John, and then, he died at 53 years of age in Dark to Light. The inverse of 53 is 35, which is JFK. And then Adrian Biddle 107, Adrian Biddle BSC is 107. So you see all the roles, that John Kennedy Jr. is playing, including negative 48,
Yeah.
which is what we told you from the beginning. And negative 48 comes out through all of this as well.
Yeah, 107 reduces to 8, 35, 53 reduces to 8. So there is that eternity symbol too. And then, yeah, again, if it wasn't clear, 35 in the Bible, is it ancient is hope. So
Yeah.
even though hope itself doesn't come to 35, but yeah. Same with 19 is surrender, but surrender doesn't come out to 19.
Yeah.
But it's ancient for surrender. 19
Yeah,
is.
and that's what would be called numerology.
I see.
The symbology of the numbers is numerology, and the numerology of 19 is surrender. So
Which is a sine wave.
yeah, so once again, it's just miraculous stuff. So Adrian 47, Biddle 36, so 47 and 36 is everything, which is 83, and 83 is 8 and 3 is 11. And so I just wonder if it was 83, that was negative 48, but negative 48 came up as well. So again, now here, if you think it stops there, it doesn't, because during the credits, there are 3 Biddles. So the Biddle family really got involved with this movie, and they were all doing stuff involved with a camera work. And by the way, the third Biddle, which is Adam Biddle. So the Biddles are Alfred Biddle, who unfortunately
No,
died.
at Adrian.
Adrian Biddle, who died at the end of the making of the movie and died at 53, Adrian Biddle, but also helping with the second unit cameraman was Alfie Biddle. So there's Alfred Biddle, and then there's Alfie Biddle, and then the third Biddle is, who was a camera assistant, is Adam Biddle. So there's Alfred, Alfie, and Adam. You do the gematria on each and every one of these, and it's like crazy. We don't have time to go into that.
But you can do that.
But right when they were showing Alfie Biddle, who is this second unit director, and then partway through, one of the assistant cameramen on the second unit was Adam Biddle. Then right after Adam Biddle, there's a guy who's a camera assistant to Adam Biddle, and his name is Michael. Does that sound like Dave?
Right?
And who's
John.
Dave?
Who calls
Dave?
themselves Michael? I've
John.
never seen that before in my life.
And John,
John, and Dave.
John, Dave, Michael. Ever heard of a cameraman on a movie called Michael? But there is on V for Vendetta.
Right in plain sight.
Yeah. And so Michael is attached to the Biddles. Okay. And Michael is Dave. And Dave is, of course, a play on John, who unfortunately, went missing. And it's just so sad. And that's bullshit because that didn't happen. So again, everywhere we turn, miracles. And it's all coming through these numbers. And when you take a look at who we are and what we're supposed to do, like I said, they don't even accept frugivore as an actual word. It's one of the oldest words. It's one of the oldest English words that exist is frugivore, but you try to type it in and it treats it like a spelling mistake because it doesn't understand the word. Why? Because it's the truth. And what do they give you? Lies. And if you're still stuck on the fact that 4 or 5 years ago, Colleen and I came along and said, everything is a lie, and you're still trying to hold on to your glow ball, then this is your reality.
Glove ball shit.
Yeah.
This is your reality. Meat, dairy, and eggs versus fruit, which is 74. Oh, Jesus is 74. Frugivore, 121. Oh, A for 1 and U for 21, and 121 is AU, which is gold. We're golden. Oh, wow. Wow, yeah. Watermelon, 126. Wow.
Yeah, there was speaking of fruit, there was something that Remembrancer said that really stuck with me, how fruit is actually just a condensed form of the breath of God.
Wow.
It's just the tree's breath as it exudes out, and that's the fruit and what it gives to us. So it's just another example of this divinity and how it's presented to us. And
Made manifest, right?
yeah, and that always stuck with me.
And it's also the child.
Mhm.
And it's like our opposites too. Like the tree's taking everything we don't need. Like it's breathing in CO2, giving us oxygen. So it's like this perfect harmonious, like, wow.
Providing shade and
Yeah.
shelter.
Yeah.
And it's the perfect example of service,
Selflessness.
of selflessness.
That's
Yeah,
right.
to what we are to embody, to be that service to others orientation. That tree and every bit of its existence is all about service.
The
to
symbiotic
everything,
relationship with
Exactly.
seeking nothing in return, just continual service. And yeah, how beautiful that is.
Yeah, mama lion and me down underneath the apple tree.
Golden Apple 107.
Oh,
Golden apple,
wow.
107.
And that's the Taurus field, the El Dorado apple. And that's what in Spanish they call the manzana. Yeah, because it's the man. It's this chair is breaking on me. Yeah. I'm gonna fall through in a few seconds. Anyway, yeah.
Alice in Chains 107.
Mm.
Breath of Life 107.
Oh wow, perfect.
Yeah. Almond Tree 107.
But I was wondering if we could get into like the kidneys and the lymphatic system. Maybe we can bring in Toni back on this because
Absolutely.
it's all about balance. Because again, the kidneys, Libra is justice, so you got to balance the scales. And when you do balance, you're finally clear. You have clarity, and which is Christ. Wouldn't you say so, Toni?
You said it.
Did I?
You did. That's brilliant.
Can we maybe talk about the lymphatic system too, and just like the lymph in our body?
Yeah, I always thought it was funny the way that Dr. Morse described it as being the sewer system of the body.
Mhm.
And how important it is to get it moving and get it out of your body. The waste that needs to come out, and we put so much waste in. And the interesting part is that when you eat all fruit, there is much less waste.
Mhm.
And people are so surprised, like, oh, but I don't have the bowel movements I used to have. And is this okay? Now I'm on all fruit. And I'm like, yeah, that's perfect. You eat less, it's different. So everything changes. And when your kidneys start to filter, of course, your kidneys always filter, otherwise you would be dead. But it is filtering adequately, they're clogged up, they cannot get rid of all the waste. And I had kidney problems since my teens, and at first I didn't know about it, and then I didn't know what to do about it. So it's a struggle. Healing is a long journey, but it's okay because it's the only way I can go. And I think that should be for all of us. We know which way to go. And that's actually where we started out, Charlie, you know, with what is the right food and what is the right thing to do. This is the path that we have to walk.
Amen.
And it so is, Toni. And again, you know, look at the casualties that have been created along the way. And of course, one of them in this advanced modern society that we live in is the mother who gets dressed up in, you know, her fine dress and her pearls and her high heels to spend all day in the kitchen preparing breakfast for the family that has to go about and do their thing. Mother doesn't have anything to do. She's useless. So she doesn't have anything to do, but everybody else is, you know, they got, you know, places to go, people to meet. And so she's got to get that breakfast going for them. And then, you know, the first thing that she has to start doing is, you know, is preparing the lunch or preparing, you know, the lunches for the next day. And of course, the big thing would be the dinner. So, you know, that's a long process. And, you know, kids need to have their snack food. So you're preparing your snacks as well. And you have the mother, you have the sacred feminine in this hellhole kitchen all day long, doing nothing but, instead of giving life, giving love, giving wisdom, is poisoning her family to death. And we wonder why so many mothers go stir crazy and struggle with this be at home mom, because they've got the sacred woman doing everything except what they're supposed to be doing by being at home. I mean, it is so evil. It is just so purely evil, this entire system. So this food, one of the greatest casualties along the way is this bullshit about the mother is the cook, and that's a full-time job just to be the cook. And then when you put the mother in the workforce, then of course, you know, you have Sarah Lee or you have these other mother named Betty Crocker. So you have these other motherly name food companies that come along, and what do? They put mom's cooking in the freezer for you, and all you have to do is heat it up because now mom's been, it's insanity. They don't miss a trick. They're not creative, but they're thorough at what it is that they do, and what they do is create evil, and that is just pure evil. So again, with Toni and talking about this, the beauty and the purity of this food, it means there's no preparation for meals. There's no mother in the kitchen.
The real mother prepares it for you.
Right? I can tell you that's exciting, isn't it, Toni?
Well, actually, I like to prepare food, and
Me too.
yeah, that is, I've seen your creations. That was you, Eugene, but all the dehydrator.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I have done that a lot too, and I actually to try it out. I've had a dehydrator, I think, for 5 years now, and I made these absolutely delicious pizzas. But that was once or twice, and then I keep going back to the fruit and to the juices and to the, well, it can be smoothies. And I don't know, I do like to prepare food. It's a creation. It's you create something and then you can eat it and it's delicious and it's nourishing. So you know you did a good thing. But even though when you do the dehydrated foods, it's not the fruit usually, you know, you make the pizzas with the bottom of what is it, the zucchinis, and I have used the nuts and seeds. I stopped doing that years ago because it wasn't good for me. And now I have a dehydrator that I barely use because fruit is just so much easier. But it is fun. But it's still, with fruit, you have to prepare. I mean, tomorrow my husband is going away for 5 days again, and we spend about 4 hours to get everything prepped, have the smoothies ready, have the fruit cut up and put in containers, and so that he has, you know, easy meals for while he's on the road. But that is actually 4 hours to prepare meals for 5 days. So that's not too bad. That's not too bad.
Yeah.
It's not
And
bad.
this is where people are worried when they are traveling and it's like, well, what am I going to take and how am I going to do that and where can I eat? It's like, my God, it's so easy. Bring some fruit along. And it can be a smoothie of frozen fruit it's so easy. Now, when you were talking about gematria, I was thinking about what Charlie actually mentioned with how different people feel on high fruit or all fruit. And what I noticed is I was very sick. I was very depressed. I got to a point like, what am I doing here? You know, I'm not getting any better. Once I started on that all fruit, the depression went away. It just went away. I found myself more open to learning. And that is actually around the time that I met you guys. And things started changing, and not because I did anything for it other than just eating fruit. It was like high frequencies. And I was attracting everything in higher frequencies. At least that's my way of explaining it.
It's exactly true.
And Toni, it totally is high frequencies. You know, Eugene asked earlier to speak about the lymphatic system. And then, you know, Dr. Morris beautifully called it, you know, that it's become the sewer system of the body. But, you know, what are the two highest systems? So high frequencies, what are the two highest systems within us? And they're the most important. So that's the limbic system, which is in your brain, and then the endocrine system, which is regulated by the third ventricle of your brain, and then runs through your chakra superhighway. And that is regulating the essence of you through all of these sacred secretions. So if we take a look at, you know, the heart and soul of the limbic system and the endocrine system, you see that everything functions, everything, whether it's physical or metaphysical within our bodies, is governed by the third ventricle of the brain. You know, that part of us, that innermost, centermost part of us, within the skull, that modern science knows virtually nothing about. They acknowledge it, but they know virtually nothing about, other than the fact that in the center, which is completely dark, and the optic nerve just happens to run right through the center of it, is called the optic thalamus. And that's always been known by every ancient culture as the light of the world. And then that is then governed by the two thieves in the night on either side, which is the pineal gland and the pituitary gland. That's why Jesus, when he was upon Golgotha or Calvary, was on the center cross, because he's the optic thalamus, the light of the world. And then up and to the right of him was the pineal gland, the two thieves in the night, and down and to the left was the pituitary gland. And so these are regulating everything that Toni and Eugene are talking about. Every single higher frequency, every single higher aspect to yourself is all coming through the third ventricle of your brain. So when you're eating meat, dairy, and eggs, you don't have any of that. The pineal gland is not producing what it's supposed to produce, which is melatonin. What's mela? The sweetness of honey. And what's tone? Tone is a frequency. So it's the frequency of the sweetness of honey, which is God. Because when Jacob crossed the river alone, he met God face to face in a place called Pineal, and his life was preserved, because that's what honey is. It's a preservative.
And then wasn't Jacob not enough? And you have to be named. What did he get named, Charlie?
And well, Israel, but of course, you know, when did they ever put the mother first? So then it would be Ra is El. Ra is El. Razel. Ra is El. So
Spell melatonin.
So melatonin, Melatonin. Mela.
The gold. It's a preservative, and melatonin is necessary for
103.
sleep.
Yeah, did you guys know that in the last 30 years, 40 years, a lot of even doctors prescribe melatonin for people to be able to sleep?
Gosh.
Except except they prescribe synthetic melatonin, which
Yes.
doesn't work, but
Well,
costs a lot of money.
The problem is that when a lot of people are taking it, and when you keep taking it, the body quits making it,
That's
Exactly.
right, exactly
Exacto.
right.
Exactly.
and that's pretty bad.
Very
Yes.
It's horrible.
And so Colleen was just quickly, Toni, Colleen just did the gematria of melatonin, and the gematria of melatonin is 103, which is God is alive, 103, light of God, 103, God-born man, 103,
Amen.
God's a human, 103. And it goes on and on. Master code. Biblical God code 103.
And hidden right there, you take away the O, it's 13. So you get Mary, you get magnetism, you get Jesus and the 12 disciples.
13th cranial nerve
It's
is
the
what
full
we
circle.
build.
It's the 13th cranial nerve, exactly right. God is in God 103. Generator. Trump, a favorite of Trump. Got to build them generators. Melatonin 103, generator 103, September 103, Alpha and Omega 103.
Oh, wow.
Which is A to Z.
Yeah.
Amen.
Twin Flame 103, Sun Lord 103, Love Realm 103, Obvious 103. Oh yeah, and that's right. We searched this the other night. Solomon 103.
Wow.
Yeah, Sun and the Moon, Solomon 103.
And soul of man too.
Yeah.
Would that be the temples again?
Yes. of
But
course.
you know, I kind of want to get back into the lymphatic system and like the kidneys and stuff. And I remember Dr. Morse saying that interstitially, which is like near the cells and inside, 80% is lymph. Yet the doctors don't know anything about the lymphatic system or the lymph. So it's just absolute insanity. And that and talking about the septic tank, so they're giving you all these, oh my gosh, antibiotics and all this bull crap, but the septic tank needs bacteria. If it doesn't have bacteria, nothing can be digested. All the solids just stay there. And let's see. And yeah, so they're killing all the bacteria, so they're allowing the kidney not to work. And then yeah, what happens when your septic tank is backed up? Everything becomes acidic. Everything, gases start coming up, and all these like chemicals start to, come into your house. It's just the worst deal ever. So yeah, I just want to say that. Well, I switched my chair.
So once again, just to quickly go over that again, the third ventricle of the brain, which is father, mother, child, is what is governing us ultimately, both physically and metaphysically. And again, the pineal gland, which is one of two God's glands, the pineal gland, which is a representation of Joseph, honey, and electricity. This is the father, Joseph, the father, and that is melatonin. Now, melatonin focuses on essentially one thing and one thing only. And this is where, again, I gave you examples of books in the late 80s and through the 90s that were coming out saying that melatonin is halting the aging process. And then they went beyond that. And then they were tying in ancient cultures, including the Hopi Indians, and who were all about melatonin. And what they were saying is that it's not halting the aging process. It's living forever. It's living forever through melatonin. So what is melatonin? What does melatonin do? It's the only way in which you produce new blood in your body. And if you're eating meat, dairy, and eggs, then you're not getting any pure new blood. And what is required for your perfect brain to be able to function, protected by the blood-brain barrier, protected by the circle of Willis. Soon as the blood, which, and it's the blood-brain barrier is very difficult to get through. Only the purest, cleanest blood will be able to pass through the blood-brain barrier. And the first thing that happens is that it enters into the ankh of the head, which is the circle of Willis. And then this is kind of like a Tesla coil, which is this purification process, stirring it up. this purification process of this fine blood that goes into your fine, super fine mind.
And that would be the blood of Christ.
And
right?
that is the blood of Christ. But all
Lamb's
you
blood.
do is eat Pop-Tarts. All you do is drink Coca-Cola. All you do is eat McDonald's human burgers.
Yeah.
And so there is no pure blood left in you. And so your pineal gland is a desert wasteland. It isn't producing any melatonin. And if you're not producing melatonin, you're not getting any Christ blood rejuvenated within you.
And it's really hard to be kind man
Oh,
without any
definitely.
of that as well, because like you said, Tony, there's the depression, and then there's, and then there's the residual anger, and if
And no sleep, no
Yeah.
rest, because rest is necessary for preservation, for the honey. Honey needs to be there for, and we say beauty sleep. Yeah, because your beauty is going to be preserved with the honey. So-
Exactly right. Exactly right. So when you're partaking in all of this stuff, again, this is the absence of Christ that is within you. And where does this all get produced? Through the claustrum. Why do you think they call the claustrum the sacred claustrum or the sacred cloister? Cloister is closet. And this is where Santa Claus comes from. Sainted, sacred claustrum is Santa Claus. Why do you think Santa Claus has a red suit on? Because Santa Claus claustrum is all about your blood. It's where all the Christ blood is made, but only for the good boys and girls. So Santa's, and why do you think the story with Santa's workshop is that they work all year round? Because that's what the claustrum does. It never takes a day off. It's constantly working to be able to heal you, but you have to be able to give it with, which is what it needs. What does your claustrum demand? What does Santa Claus demand more than anything else that you do?
No thought, clarity.
Yes, that's right, because that is alkalinity of the mind. So take no thought for your life, and it is the food. So all that, the sacred claustrum, to do all these miracles with melatonin, serotonin, and dopamine, to do all these miracles, it only asks for one thing. And that one thing is to be alkaline.
Yeah,
What is alkaline,
and
Alex?
it's not even necessarily the food. It's just getting out of the way. It's
food for thought.
reducing the obstructions, not taking in the thought, not obstructing with all of these foods and bogging down these systems from having to overwork and to keep us in a state of, surviving and not thriving.
Because thought is another form of food. It's another form of sustenance, isn't it, Charlie?
Yep.
And of course, where does food come from?
Meta.
Food is meta. Meta
Wow.
is manna. Manna has nothing to do with food. It just got perverted over the years. And remember, mete, which is food, has nothing to do with meat. Mete simply got, over the years, got changed into a term that meant food, but all food. But somehow, over the years, mete simply became meat, and then meat, which is food, suddenly got changed into dead, rotting animal flesh. You get it? Do you see? Do you see? Every single decade, more and more and more lies until we're complete dumbed down morons. Now, in the third ventricle of the brain, the other thief in the night, the other miracle, the mother, the milk of Mary, is the pituitary gland, okay? And the pituitary gland is negatively charged. It is magnetic, whereas Joseph is positively charged and is electric. And so what is the gematria for what the pituitary gland produces? It produces serotonin, right? Abram and Sarai becoming Abraham and Sarah. And then the miracle at 93 years of age, whose womb was symbolic of a desert wasteland, which, is the pineal gland when you don't use it. God gave the miracle to Sarah after Sarah and Abraham crossed, listened to God devoutly, got the hell out of Dodge. They got it. Where did they get out of? Ur of the Chaldees. Where were Abram and Sarai? Ur of the Chaldees. What exists to this day in the Ur of the Chaldees? The temple of the moon goddess Sin.
Wow.
What's the name of the moon goddess? Sin. Sin, because that's the only sin that exists, because that's putting the Babylon whore before God. Okay? And God said, get out of Ur of the Chaldees, cross 2 deserts and go to the Holy Land. And then ye shall receive the miracle. 93 years of age, her womb as dry and barren as a desert wasteland. And what happened to Sarah? She was given birth to a child, and that child became the chosen child of their marriage, and that was Itzhak, which is Isaac. Okay, now think about this. Abraham, Isaac, this is Joseph of the many-colored jacket in Egypt, which is, another variation of Jesus Christ. And that's that perfect bloodline of 42 to Jesus Christ. Okay, so that's the miracle at 93, Sarah giving birth to Isaac. What is Isaac, Itzhak? What does it mean? Happiness. It means happiness. And what's the secretion associated
Serotonin.
with the pituitary gland? Serotonin. What is the nickname in the medical community for serotonin? The happiness secretion.
Wow.
Isaac. Serotonin. Isaac. The happiness secretion. And guess what serotonin does? It provides balance. Guess what serotonin does? It takes away your cravings. Guess what serotonin does? It regulates your system. It puts you at ease. It takes the harshness of thought away from you, and it makes it easier to meditate. It makes it easier to calm down. It makes it easier to produce more melatonin. The more serotonin you have, the more melatonin you have. The more Mary, the more Joseph,
So
the more
a
Jesus.
literal gateway drug.
So it's literally a gateway. And so what's the gematria? What's the gematria of serotonin? 129. Is that significant? Are there other expressions that dominate 129 that are just miraculous?
By the way, 129 comes to 12, right? Yeah, 3. And then...
I am prophecy, 129. Lord God is God, 129. God's birth code, 129.
Wow. Birth code. Yeah, Charlie, did you say she lived, or this was at 93 where she gave birth? And
Yeah.
is meta spelled META? Because
Yes.
that comes to 39. Thanks, Mara. and Adam is another, it's just an atomic word. So it's meta.
Exactly.
And then let's see, where was I going to go with that? I forgot. Okay. It'll come to me.
Yeah, 1776 commission, 129.
Kind of an important date.
Oh, metaphysical. That's where I was going to go. But anyway. Yeah.
Heaven is best, 129. Lord judges the dead, 129. So I mean, it's incredible stuff. It is.
Tony, this is getting
absolutely.
really late. Are you okay, or do you need to go, my love?
Oh, I was still working on the website in the meantime, but yeah.
Oh, wow.
Bless your heart.
Yeah, and those of you listening in who haven't checked out the website, please check it out. We should have a link in the show notes. If it's not there, we'll make sure to add it. But Tony's been working tirelessly on getting that up and running, and it's beautiful. It's just a simple way to connect with people in the community and to share ideas without the threat of censorship, without the threat of these big tech, monsters. And as we saw today, those systems are very precarious. They were down. Much of them were down today. So I don't think it's much longer before all of these systems will be going, because they have to go, because they're built on lies, they're built on deceit, and they're built on evil. So they have to go. And So our website is a great platform to segue into the space to where we can be open and connect.
And that
So,
website is?
and the website is freaksenseworld.com.
Oh, FreakSense World.
yeah.
FreakSense.
Exactly. I messed up on that. But yeah, exactly. Because acidity is temporary and alkalinity is eternal. Hence,
Exactly.
acidity must go,
Yes.
must be balanced. Anyway.
Yes. The parasites must go. It's time.
Yeah, and so remember we said September 24th, which is on the Julian calendar, it's actually September 11th, and we said that was go night. It was go night, and today it was a major day. And then some people will look at this and go, yeah, but after six sort of hours, suddenly Facebook and Instagram and
What's up?
Twitter and WhatsApp suddenly came back online again. That's a mercy. That's a mercy to the sheeple. That's a mercy to the many. That's preparing them. That's telling you powerfully, get your affairs in order. One of the things that was posted, Colleen showed me today, and it was posted by Santa Surfing. One of the things that Santa Surfing shared with everyone, and there's a reason for everything. She said that it could very well mean that Facebook is gone for good, because there is no data trace left for Facebook. It's all gone. And so that is a powerful, powerful message saying to you, this isn't some maintenance cleaning by, just happens to be Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram all at the exact same time. No, this is powerful messages. These are the first ones that are going to go down, and they were down for 6+ hours today. And again, Santa Surfing putting out the example with Facebook, simply saying that there's no data residue for Facebook left anywhere on the internet. So that's code telling you, get your affairs in order. And then what's going to come soon after that? Obviously, it's going to be these other satanic platforms, including YouTube. So we all have to be prepared for this and soon.
To embrace a life without Facebook. There will be other platforms that will come along. I would assume that they've been working on them in the meantime. And so there will be many beautiful, beautiful, godly platforms that will be, erecting themselves.
But
A FreakSense
not,
World.
yeah, but
FreakSense
not
world.
until the satanic system is taken down.
That's right.
And not until. So remember, the whole point of this is that this satanic system has to crash. It has to end. It has to stop. This is the sucking from the tit of the Babylon whore. When you partake in this system, no matter what, you're sucking from the tit of the Babylon whore. And there were, and again, heads up to everyone, soon you will absolutely not see me on MeWe. I mean, that's a ridiculous platform anyways, but I mean, the only places that I exist are MeWe, Buy Me a Coffee, and YouTube videos in the comments, and Rumble, of course. Yeah, Rumble outside of all of that. So, but very soon you're not going to see me anywhere but Rumble and
So,
our website.
It's absolutely free to join, and you have to create a profile on our website, and you will be able to go on to a FreakSense news. Sorry, Toni, it's a FreakSense news.
It's freaksensestv.news.
That's correct.
That's kind of the intro site. It will help people to red pill people. You can just go there. You can see a few videos and a few of our Charlie's writings, and with a big link to the social platform.
Right. So
And yeah, what I do want to say is it's not easy to sign. Well, it is easy to sign up for a freaksenseworld.com, and you will get when you register, you will get an email. That email will have a link that says it's an activation link. When you click on that, you get to a page that has an activation code already in it and a button. All you need to do is click on that button. I am getting emails like, what is my activation code? But it's already incorporated in that. So it's actually pretty easy to get in. Without activating your account, you will not be able to get into the platform. And I've done that because, well, to keep shills and trolls and bots out, and it works. I already got a few, and it's like, oh, I recognize you. So they keep pending because they use a fake email, and if you have a fake email, you cannot log in.
Brilliant.
Fantastic.
And yeah, I see it also as a kind of a library for all the videos that you guys have done. I'm still uploading the ones, the later ones that are on, what is it, on YouTube. We actually have the option now of video hosting. So we can also put it on our own server. So a lot of good things are happening, and I keep adding things like sharing buttons so you can share it outside the platform. But you know, who wants to share it to Facebook anymore? Nobody.
Yeah, and this is a good space to start community building too, because we often talk about you know, how it's hard. We don't know people in our physical area, and you know, people want to start looking to building communities in different places. And yeah, we have conversations in the chat rooms and things like that, but this will be a space to where it's preserved, and you can really be a lot more open and sharing where we are and what we want to do, so that we can start that start making that dream a reality, which would be beautiful.
And thank you so much, Toni, again. All this at Toni. You make the wheel turn. And again, Toni is an atomic word. So.
Well, I've set up groups, and I see very few people posting in there, but I don't know if there's kind of a fear to do so. But it's not just us who can post there. Everybody can post on their timeline. There are no limits. And there are forums. We just have to check out what works easier. If we like the groups better, the way they work, then instead of using the forums, we're going to use the groups. But there are ways to connect. I have been putting in locations, so people in countries can connect, and the same locations can connect.
Wow.
But because that was my idea, that you can, even if it's online, you can see where people are living, and can connect locally and build what is it, communities.
Strong cells. Yeah, amazing.
Yeah.
That's brilliant. Yeah, it's going to be an amazing place to be. And the exciting part for us is that, you know, you can concentrate all of your spare time that we want to put into a platform will just be in one area. So we're very excited about that. We won't be like, you know, spread so thin that we're on all these other platforms, and it's just really hard to keep up. But and people will be able to get a hold of us. And the other nice thing is that we're going to have an area for artists as well. Want to talk about that, Toni?
Yeah, it's kind of classified. Yeah, we have been talking about having people there. They can whatever their art is, from photography to writings to music. But you suggested a few others, Colleen, that I really liked. The services that we do, they can also be in the health part. But I still have to build out the health section. And I was like, I saved that for last. I first want to have all Charlie's videos and articles there. And then we can build out, well, first the classifieds, and come up with ideas to what we can put there. And I put it up. I've already been working on it, so I just need to link it in. That's all.
Brilliant. Yeah, it's gonna be.
But there are a few hiccups. And I haven't figured out yet exactly what is happening. It is that images are disappearing. And not with everybody, but I know my images are disappearing. And then I put them up the next day when I see that they are gone, and see how long they last. I have not figured out what the heck is
Well,
going on
yeah.
with that?
Perhaps there's some things going on with the internet right now. Who knows?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think it's just software related in the end. I mean, it is software that I'm using. So you try to figure things out. And I do work together with the developers from this software and see if they can figure it out. So be aware that can happen, but let's not hold that, it shouldn't hold us back in communicating with each other.
Right.
And
Yeah.
it may not work like MeWe or like Telegram or any of the other platforms, but yeah, it's different. And I think we are pretty much the only one who have it this way.
Yeah, and if you can't tell just based on Toni talking, she puts in a lot of time and effort, and there have been some costs, significant costs associated with getting this website up and running. So if you do want to help contribute to getting this going and helping Toni out, the t-shirt store that's set up on the website, all proceeds go to website development and for Toni's time, really. So if you want some cool t-shirts, Colleen's been making some absolutely incredible designs that have been going up there, and she's adding more all the time. So those are really cool to check out. So if you've already been to the t-shirt store, keep coming back and checking it out, because there are new editions all the time. And if you haven't seen it, check it out. It's a good one.
It is. And if there's any graphic designers out there who want to volunteer to aid me, I'm learning as I go, but yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, graphic designers and even just helping with administrative technical stuff involving images and things of that nature. If anyone is keen in that field and wants to help Colleen and Toni out, I'm sure they would appreciate any volunteers for that.
Well, what we also do with the t-shirts, which is pretty easy for me to do, if you see one design and you would like one particular design on the front and another one on the back, just let me know and I'll make it and I put it in the custom designs. I have done that already with a few requests, so they are up under custom designs. And that is in the FreakSense TV .store. That is the easiest link, but you can come there from freaksensentv.news. There is a link to the store, and of course from the social platform. Because I was going to say, oh yeah, they're under. There is a donate button, and there's also a separate area where you can donate, which is then for the website maintenance only.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, and if you want to buy Eugene a t-shirt, you can.
Yeah, it's about time.
I won't promise I'll wear it.
We'll show it. We'll show it.
Oh my gosh.
I'll wear it like a cape. I'll put a little.
Yeah.
I had people asking, like, does he really have to be naked?
It's not naked.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah, that's
No,
that's-
but now you can see that. But when you see only part, it's like, you know, you don't know.
Looks can be deceiving.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't.
Go ahead, Eugene.
No, I was gonna say I know this is super abrupt, but what do you know about the adrenals, Toni?
That everybody has weak adrenals because of the way we're living and with all the stress. And you can easily test that out by taking your blood pressure, which has to be 120/60. And if it's any lower or higher, you know you have something with your adrenals, and they are directly connected. They're on top of the kidneys, so it goes hand in hand. And once you get on all fruit, you will see that it all evens out. That the fruit, then your body can heal. The thing is with the adrenals, with people drinking the sodas and coffees and having stress in all the things that we have to do, everybody has weak adrenals. I don't have any more, actually. I'm very much at ease with things, and so it changes when you. And I'm not even on all the herbal formulas. I do that a few weeks and then I stop again, and probably forget it for another 6 months. And although I see the herbal formulas that we use as really, yeah, they absolutely assist in the process. They make the process a little faster. But can I say that we absolutely need them? No. If you are able to go on all fruit only, I mean good ripe fruit, then yeah, you're good to go. There is something that I meant to ask you, Charlie, and I heard Dr. Morse say that one time. It is people complain a lot about there's not enough nutrients in the fruit anymore. And Dr. Morse explained that at one time, and he agreed with a lot of things, you know, the strawberries and the berries. It's different than they come from the bushes. It's different than with the trees. But what he explained to me, and that makes perfectly sense, if you have a tree in completely poor soil, it would not bear any fruits. It wouldn't be able to grow. But how he explained it was the roots are just digging deeper. Does that make sense?
It is, and again, the miracle of these fruit trees is that they're self-contained systems. Every single aspect to the fruit tree is designed to be able to create these rings, protective layers. So and again, it is encoding the level earth as it goes. And so every single year, they talk about trees with the physical trunk of the tree develops another ring, and that when trees are cut down, you can take a look sort of at a life history through the rings that exist within these trees. But again, as above, so below, as within, so without, as the universe, so with the soul. It's far beyond that. And of course, you know, that's a pretty poor excuse to cut down a living tree to be able to see its life story within. You can determine its life story by taking a look at the subsurface below. So this is what these fruit trees are doing. Everything about the fruit tree is geared towards perfection. It is geared towards insurance policies, so that it doesn't matter if there is a drought. It is trapping, it is creating its own water, but it's not just that. It's water that is super enriched with nutrients, because that's what the tree produces and attracts. This is the other aspect about fruit trees that people forget all of the time, is that fruit trees are attracting a living, breathing system of health. And so where we are here in Mexico, again, where is, for example, where is one of the favorite haunts of the fireflies at nighttime? They love the mango trees. They love being in, around, above, through the mango trees. Then where are we finding the predominance of those gigantic, perfect paper white butterflies? They love the mango trees. Butterflies love the mango trees. The mango tree is producing a frequency, and it attracts life to it, benevolent life. And when that organic life chooses to lay itself down, this goes all the way back to Eugene again, and basically saying that when we're authentic to ourselves, then we're living the way God intended us to, which is through our consciousness. And when you bestow your essence back into the ground, that information, that coded genius is added to the circular subsurfaces, the subsurface rings. And so you're not just getting water, you're getting enriched water. And you're not just getting enriched water, you're getting genius inside as well, because that's what these trees are. This is the fruit, which is Colleen said, the child. So, and to tie all of this together, and we can bring the show to a close as well. We talked about how the third ventricle of the brain governs both the limbic system and the endocrine system. So this is governing the essence of us, is through this third ventricle of the brain, and how the three miraculous glands of God, pineal gland, which is Joseph, electric father, up and to the right, our life is preserved, and down and to the left is the milk of the mother Mary, magnetic, negatively charged, and that is serotonin, melatonin, serotonin, and then down underneath the pineal and the pituitary glands, creating a circle around the optic thalamus, is the hypothalamus. And that's where, by the way, your chrism oil goes to rest for 2.5 days. So half a day, it has this incredible journey from Santa Claus in the North Pole all the way down to the sexual place, which is the sacral plexus. And there it fertilizes the psychophysical seed created from the solar plexus, which is the baby Jesus, that then rises the 33 vertebrae, which is the 33 years of life of Jesus Christ. Can you just bring life back to that amazing screen again? And this is the dopamine. Okay, so the hypothalamus produces dopamine. And so this is what Colleen and I have taught for 4 or 5 years, whatever it is now, is the three magi, the magic from the tribe of Zoroaster that came from the East that celebrated the birth of baby Jesus, are melatonin, serotonin, and dopamine. These are the 3 elixirs to eternal life that are given to all of us. You just have to be Christ-like in your life to be able to use these gifts. These gifts are bestowed upon all of us at that born day. So again, pineal gland, melatonin, which is the claustrum, Santa Claus. This is where all new blood comes from. New is Jesus Christ. So this is Christly blood. And it only comes, and if you're eating meat, dairy, and eggs, there is no Jesus within you. You're people who eat meat, dairy, and eggs, they struggle with laminin within their body and the system because they don't have a lamb inside of them, right? Again, you'd just be anti-Christ, which is satanic, and there's no Jesus within you, which is what holds your innards together, is laminin. So it's probably a good idea to get rid of meat, dairy, and eggs. And then pituitary gland is serotonin. The happiness secretion provides all the balance, contentment in the world. You're no longer having these hunger pangs. You're not running for this food or that food, and what you're content. You're content with what you have is the serotonin, and then dopamine. Now, dopamine, let's do the gematria on dopamine. Guess what dopamine works out to? 77.
What dope.
77.
Dopamine.
Christ is 77, isn't it?
Christ is 77.
Power is
Power.
77.
Power.
I think.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
God wins, 77. Dear Lord, 77. Jesus see,
Amazing.
77. Sacrifice, 77. Biblical code, 77. Sacred code, 77. God of Bible, 77. Of light, 77. G-spot, 70.
The God spot.
7. Zodiacs, 77.
Amen. And Charlie, when
Fathers, 77. Power, 77.
and when you say that, it always comes in three gifts, and even tribe is tri, and then Tori, the tree, is Thori, it's Thor, and
Yeah.
there's always the leaves reaching for the father,
Yeah.
the roots going to the mother, and then
Yeah.
the stem
Mhm.
that's uniting the two, the treasure that's bringing the treasure up and down, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
It's
so
fantastic.
you see all the gematria symbology towards Jesus in Christ 77, dopamine 77. Again, what do we teach? Pineal gland, melatonin, God's gland, melatonin, and then pituitary gland, mother, milk, Mary, serotonin, happiness. and then the hypothalamus, which is where the chrism oil, which is our Christly essence within us that we must rise, is laid to rest for 2.5 days. Is the child. Do you not see this? Do you not see this? God, mother, child. God, Mother Mary, Jesus Christ. Melatonin, serotonin, dopamine.
ABC.
Talking
Top
about
ten.
do, re, mi, you and me, baby. That's right,
1,
baby.
2,
You and
3.
me. Yeah. So thank you, Adrian Biddle. Thank you, Alfie Biddle. Thank you, Adam Biddle. And then the assistant cameraman to Adam Biddle was Michael, which is Dave, which is making fun of John.
Now remember, we're talking about the movie V for Vendetta.
Or John Galt from Atlas Shrugged, or wherever you want to go.
So, and that leads us to one last thing here for tonight, everyone, and that is we're going to come back again. I'm beginning to feel less tired. It's just incredible. And by the way, through this entire period, Colleen can attest to it. I have not had single mucus at all.
Wow.
I'm just tired. I'm just tired, and I'm slowly getting back. But during this entire time, there's not a single sneeze. There's not a single piece of tissue paper or toilet paper. Nothing, because I don't have mucus inside of me. And if you have mucus inside of you, you're dying. It's that simple. Mucus is a byproduct of death. And if you still
But
have
remember
mucus
that
within
mucus
you,
in your body, right, Tony, is to protect your cells
yeah,
from the acidosis.
yeah,
Same thing, the same thing.
Same
too.
as a parasite, right? I mean, your body is a perfect mechanism. God made it perfect
Mhm.
so that the mucus is produced so that your cells, and it protects your body from the acid that.
That's all tumors are too, is just protecting your body from the acids that are being produced.
All the
Yeah.
plus.
Mhm.
systems.
So it's not,
absolutely.
the mucus is not the bad thing, but when your body is producing the mucus, it means you are doing something wrong.
That's right. It means that you're dying. So if you have mucus within your system, it means that you're still doing
So you can be
something
drinking
wrong.
all the water you want in the
Mhm.
world, but you're going to be dehydrated because the mucus won't allow the water to penetrate the cells. You're going to be nutrient. But
Deficient,
people always say,
always.
"Oh my gosh, I went into a vegetarian or vegan lifestyle, and and they were probably still eating foods that were mucus producing,
Mhm.
and their bodies were still acidosis."
Oh, yeah, they haven't given up cheese. All of these
Mhm.
vegetarians.
so there's still
what
mucus in the
basis
body.
of their diet is cheese.
Right. And so at that point, you are nutrient deficient because your body cannot absorb the nutrients through the mucus. So it's all a very simple science,
Mhm.
and it's a beautiful thing. So when you learn all of this, as Tony has, and we're learning, it's just it all makes sense, and you connect all the dots, and you see that there is a perfect food for you, and you can clean up your body, and you become this amazing vessel that then can draw this beautiful frequency of God in. Because if you don't do this process,
Good luck.
you will actually short circuit your body, and you will not be able to absorb this amazing energy that comes from God. So it's
It's exactly
essential.
true.
It's essential that you do this process of cleaning up the body so that your body can then handle this new energy that is meant to come in. So when it says in the Bible, this taking of the old wineskin,
Oh,
right, and pouring new wine into it, you're going to short circuit.
exactly.
It's going to ferment.
Mhm.
So it's an allegory for what we need to do to become the higher regenerated man. We need to become a clean vessel, and then everything will work in perfect synchronicity.
Which is
Yeah.
Christ,
And-
which is oil, which is renewed, and what was it? The soil. Funny enough, it's S oil. It's a sine wave of the oil, so you must eat from this.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah, and it's important to note too, for anyone who's gaining some inspiration from these kind of conversations to make a shift in your lifestyle, to note that it's not an overnight fix. It's not a quick thing that just happens, because of the state that we're coming from, and the amount of toxicity that we've been putting into our bodies over our lifetime. It does take some time. So this is something that, it's a process. There's a lot that can go into it. There's transitions and things of that nature. So for anyone who's doing that and looking for some additional help with that, Toni is a fantastic resource to reach out to. She not only gives her time selflessly to developing the website and all sorts of other projects, but she's always helping people to heal and that sort of thing. And so every Wednesday on my channel, Wandering Toward Truth, Toni and I have a health Q&A show where we just address all these things that everyone's going through as they're transitioning, what sort of things can come up, what sort of symptoms can come up from detoxing from all these different things, so that you don't have to feel like you're going at it alone. So you can reach out to a larger community and ask questions about different things. That's a great space to do it. And then, we've got plenty, the website's going to be another great space for people to gather and talk about, this transition and how we can best do it, how we can get our kids to eat in this sort of way, which is pretty simple once you don't ruin them first, but to transition them back if they have adopted that sort of lifestyle.
And to educate them.
And how it can be fun.
Yeah, exactly. And
Who doesn't want to drink orange juice all the time?
Yeah.
Seriously,
Right.
you're always telling your kids, now only one glass of that so that you can put the rest of that
Oh.
food into your system. And you're just like, I just want to drink the juice because the kids know.
right.
And then they're full. They're too full to eat the shit that you were going to feed them. And then they can't absorb it because they're so mucus filled. And then they have snotty noses. And then they have ADHD. And then they have all of these other issues.
Pimples,
And they,
yes.
and then
Yeah,
they
and
become
you're-
problem children. And
and-
then they're
yeah.
little demons running around.
And you're carting them off to the doctor to get the jab.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
You poison them and then you drag them off to get the jab because that's the byproduct.
So when we
of,
realize that we are culpable,
Yeah.
we have caused this and we need to clean it up. So, and that goes on every level. So when we take responsibility for that, then we can begin the cleanup.
Yeah, last stage of grief, I think, is acceptance.
Yep.
So you got to move on. You
Gotta
got to
move
accept
on.
where you're at.
Yep. And then everything can get better.
And
'Cause
then,
you-
oh,
Go
sorry.
ahead, no, go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say another great resource to look into for kind of cleaning up and getting back to this stasis is iridology, which is examining your eyes and as above so below. The eyes are the window at the seat of the soul, so they really are the space to where you can see every aspect of your body and the health that lies within. Toni's got some good knowledge within iridology. And she's also got access to a bunch of people that she can recommend if you want an iridology report, which is basically just taking a picture of your eyes, and people can really get in depth with that. So just another kind of plug for that. I believe tomorrow, if anyone saw the last episode we did, Mankind's Quest for True Health with KC Vegetable Police, we had John Stearns, the Mangotarian, whom Toni works with and knows very well. He's a great iridologist, and I think we're going to start doing shows where we just go over people's eyes, and he can go over this is what this indicates within the eye, and maybe we'll have Toni come on too to share her wisdom in that regard. So just be on the lookout for that. I think we might even start that tomorrow night, and with that we'll be sort of asking volunteers to submit their eye pictures to where we can go over them live on the show, and
Not
John
me.
and John can go over them,
And maybe John can share how to actually take a picture of the eye
yeah,
so that it's clear so that you can see. Because I know it's a very tricky thing to try to get that. You have
yeah,
to have a light up there so you can see everything clearly.
you do need help. And Dr. Morris has on his YouTube channel has a great video, and Toni as well on her YouTube channel has that same video on how to take a good iridology picture so that
Wonderful.
it's clear
Wonderful.
and shows everything.
That's so amazing. All of those. I mean, these are resources for all of us to learn from, because it's know thyself,
Amen.
know thyself, know thy enemy, which is the left brain. Know thyself,
Resource.
right? It's a reword.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which resource is rightfully established source within you again, which is God. God
Which is what we're
God
doing.
is the source
people,
of all.
And we can do this.
Yeah.
And we
And-
will
and-
be.
And remember, God is stillness and silence, so he does everything through the mother and the child. And remember, the mother, Mary, magnetism is constant motion. What is mag in Sanskrit mean? Motion, constant motion. The mother never, ever, ever stops. And because she is a scalar wave, she's constantly rising. And she never goes anywhere empty-handed. So she's always taking the child with her.
So you're looking for
So
free energy.
Everything in your life is between the mother and the child. The child is Jesus Christ.
It's a mother and child reunion.
And that's what Simon's saying. And was his first single that he did when he went solo after Simon and Garfunkel was a mother and child reunion. Is only a heartbeat away.
Beautiful.
And this is just highest possible truth. This is the true rock and roll, which is roll the rock. So I want to get into just briefly here, because I'm very passionate about doing the show Wednesday, which is all of these people who have been John Galton, and all of these people who have stayed on the right-hand side of things, like Mel Gibson and some of the others we've talked about tonight. But just one last thing about tonight's show is this: do not have sadness or regret in your heart for these doctors and the dentists and these scientific researchers and police and whatnot. All these people who have been on the wrong side of all of this, trust me, they all know that what they've been doing isn't right. They know it. How can you be a doctor in this day and age, of a conventional physician in this day and age? How? And still have the audacity to look anybody in the eye, or to have the arrogance to have a single patient is beyond me, because you have to just be full of shit. You literally have to be filled with nothing but shit inside of you to be able to continue the Pharisee that you've become, because everything is just one massive lie. And we don't need to feel sorry for them. They made their beds,
and they will have to make their atonement, and that is up to them, and it is free will.
So when you see hospitals disappear, they have to. When you see conventional doctors disappear, they have to. When you see schools disappear, they have to. So don't feel bad for all these teachers that knew that most of what they're teaching is just complete and utter nonsense, but never said a word, because at the end of the day, right? And all of these pastors, all of these churches that will come tumbling down, just as Jesus predicted, will come tumbling down. And all of these pastors that'll be without a job. Don't you have, regret and remorse in your heart for them? They knew better. They all knew that there was something more to all of this. They knew it, but they didn't say anything, because they need to be able to make the mortgage payment on their 4-bedroom home. And they've got a Mercedes, and then they've got that van that, the wife uses for the kids and stuff. And they have to have fine looking suits, because, people aren't going to take you seriously as a representative of Jesus unless you have fine clothing, right? Because that's the basis of what Jesus taught, was all about, having clothing. Even though Jesus said to the apostles, I don't want you taking a change of clothes, and I don't want you wearing shoes upon your feet, and I don't want you to clean yourself. I want you to present yourself the way that you are, and share this sacred truth in the way that you truly are. But that seems to get lost in these pastors and these priests and these churches. So don't feel sorry for any of they're all complicit. They're all complicit, and they all knew better. And dentists and dentistry, good God. Now, the good news, some of the things that have, escaped, you've heard certain aspects of things with regard to the medical profession, med beds being one of them, but we've heard some amazing things with regard to the dental industry as well, and that there are microbial organisms that can just, from something as simple as just being swished around for a few minutes inside of your mouth, can go right to work at healing all of the ills and then putting back what has been taken away. So remember, you don't panic about anything because, well, the doctors cut this out of me and the dentist, they obliterated my teeth and I've got huge chunks. So I'm hooped. I just hope that there's hope for my children. No. You're not thinking this through. God can undo anything the hands of man have done, but first you have to become righteous. First, you have to cast thy net to the right. First, you have to be all in with God, and then you'll start receiving the miracles from God. And he can correct anything a dentist has done to you, including growing teeth back.
Yeah, we'll discover all of that very, very soon. So that's
Well,
exciting.
And it's already happening. I mean, you look at what Dr. Morse is doing. He had somebody
Regrowing
regrow
toes.
a toe. Like literally their toe was falling out. They had diabetes. He cleaned them up by doing, guess what he did? Guess all he did to get them to regenerate a toe
Fruit.
and to cure diabetes.
Fruit.
Yeah, fruit. They switched
Jesus,
to
simple.
all fruit. Switched to all fruit and use some herbs to kind of help move things along, but all fruit and that's it. We just have to get out of our way. And the fruit is the simplest, it is the easiest to digest, it is the most alkalizing, and alkalinity is just all about ease. That's all alkalinity is. Acidity is difficulty. It's putting stress, it's dis-ease. Or we could be at ease and regenerate, alkalize.
It's true. It's absolutely true. And when you intake large amounts of raw fruit into your diet, do you know what that is the greatest catalyst for? So we talked about these three sacred secretions of the third ventricle of the brain, melatonin, serotonin, and dopamine. Well, does this not make perfect sense that with fruit is 74, which is Jesus, and raw fruit helps you to produce huge amounts of dopamine. And what is dopamine? The feel good secretion. So serotonin is happiness, dopamine is the feel good, which means that you're addicted to nothing because you're addicted to life, you're addicted to God, you're addicted to purity. And again, what is the gematria of dopamine? 77.
Amen.
What is the gematria that produces huge amounts of dopamine within you? Fruit. What's the gematria of fruit? 74. What's 74? Jesus. What's 77? Dopamine. What's 77? Christ. Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ is fruit dopamine. 74, 77. See how important this stuff is? Do you see how all of this ties in? When you eat copious amounts of raw fruit, you produce the feel-good secretion, which is dopamine. 77, 74, 77, Jesus Christ. You wait until you see these books that come forth, and they are going to show you the way.
So yes, when you do all of this and your body will start to regenerate itself, you will get all of these things back. In fact, and Justin was just attesting to the fact that Dr. Morris was saying you can grow back some of your, anything. But also your hair can turn from gray back to its original color. Your hearing can come back, your eyesight can come back. All of these.
Yeah, well, gray is just taking color out of life. What is the spice of life? Color. So when you're living, you've got lots of color. What's the first thing you see with somebody who's dying? They have no color to their skin as well. You can see that they're dying. So when your hair turns gray, it means you're dying.
Well, your body's in stress and you're
exactly. But Charlie, that's what people do. No, that's what human persons do.
Degenerates.
Human persons, degenerates do. They die. Ask Moriarty and BBC Sherlock. That's what people do. They die. They roll over and they die. But you're an eternal creation. God is the God of the living, not of the dead. Let the dead bury the dead. Get on with life, which is fruit.
Which is why Jesus gave life. And, in the same tissue regeneration video, a lady who couldn't walk started to walk again. What more is Jesus? What more is the fruit?
exactly.
And the same thing with,
Go ahead.
just one last thing, because my parents are doctor and dentist. like these people, because if you don't know astrology, if you don't know astrologos, which is the word of God, if you don't know the angles, how are you trying to tell someone what to do? Like if you can't look at the eye and see that's a representation for all the light that's within you, because without the eye, there is no light. So if you don't even know that, what are you doing?
If you can't look at at an individual's eyeball, if you can't look at man or woman's eyeball and see flat earth, I can't help you because it's there in plain sight. Flat earth is
Plain
there
sight.
in plain sight is the individual eyeball. So and if you're missing that one, I can't help you. So I mean, it's all so obvious. It's all so simple. And it's all about fruit 74, Jesus 74, dopamine 77, Christ 77. Come on. This is overwhelming. This stuff is overwhelming. Frugivore 121, where A is 1 and U is 21. AU is gold. You were golden.
Go ahead.
In plain sight, 138.
In plain sight, 138, Donald Trump, 138, Lord Christ, December 138, God has birth code, 138, Joe Biden, Lucifer, 138, Lord is coming, 138, the angels rock, 138.
Yes. The angles rock.
And remember now that
Baron Trump,
138.
138.
Oh,
Now Melania is the
my dog.
is the Queen of Russia, and that is
Wow.
what are the name of the Romanovs?
The Romanovs, yeah.
So
Yeah.
she is from a bloodline.
So is she Diana or something? Or
She's not Diana.
okay.
No,
No,
But
no,
the
no, no,
Romanovs-
no, no,
Uh-huh.
no.
you would know better the Romanov family.
Yeah, yeah, white Russians, Tartarians. So, yep. But Diana, no. Diana is a certain strand. It's a fruit strand. That's all I can say. Is Diana. So Wednesday night show is Fireside Chat number 5, and this is the John Galting process explained. So who's John Galt? This comes to the Ayn Rand novel, Atlas Shrugged. You have to read it. The movies are absolute must watches, as well as the trilogy. And it explains this entire process and the symbology and the parallels between Atlas Shrugged and what's going on are just overwhelming. And that's why, by the way, at 47 seconds into the first movie of the Atlas Shrugged trilogy, the first movie, 47 seconds in, the voice of Joe M., which clearly was John F. Kennedy Jr., John at one point, starts speaking for 17 seconds as he's talking about how horrible things have become. So it's all tied together. And by the way, it's been Colleen and I that have decoded all of this stuff. We're the ones that decoded all of this, and the reason is simply because we're clearly reading the same books that Junior was reading as a young person. Clearly, he was all in with Professor Tolkien and the Lord of the Rings and Lewis and the Chronicles of Narnia and Ayn Rand and the Fountainhead and Atlas Shrugged, and it's just Sun Tzu and the Art of War, and it's just this how we know stuff, because we've been on the right side of this path since we were kids, because we were innocent and pure kids in a disgusting world, which is why we found each other, which is why we made our way to one another, and we deserve one another because we're just innocent kids. So don't kid yourselves. Through this entire process, there has been no one that has been giving you the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Now, there's a reason for this. There's There's a reason as part of the Q team, and then there's the disease that's out there and all of the truth community. And you still think you know that the mainstream media is completely owned, completely controlled, and completely owned by the cabal. But not the truth community. Not the truth community is just filled with good people. I mean, David Icke, for God's sake, has just busted his ass telling lies and lies and lies and leading you down cul-de-sacs, but he's a great guy, because we all learned this and that from David, but they went nowhere because David he's really good at leading you down cul-de-sacs and stuff. Why do you pick on David Icke? Because he knows better. Because he knows better. And because when Eric Dubay came along and started to bring up every major truth that has been avoided for 100 years, 110 years, what did David Icke do? He just ran away and hid from every single one of these issues that Eric Dubay brought up. Flat Earth doesn't really matter. What was Mark Passio saying? If you believe in flat Earth and you're on my website, or you're subscribed to me, get the fuck off and get away from me. Mark Passio. Fuck you, Passio. Once a Satanist, always a Satanist. And Mark Passio's done great work showing you who these fucking Satanists are, because he is one, and he's never stopped being one, because that's who Mark Passio is. And it's the same with Jordan Maxwell. Great guy. Jordan Maxwell knows so much about the Bible. He knows so much about the Egyptian Book of the Dead. He knows so much about the Quran. He knows so much about the Bhagavad Gita. He knows so much about astrology. He knows, but he can't put two and two fucking together. Thanks. Why?
But you know what?
I don't know.
That's
I'm
okay,
scared
because
all the time.
they've obviously been led down a road of eating meat, dairy, and eggs, and it actually does fog your system up, and you aren't able to really discern the things that you need to. So, and God bless these people, because they're gonna need it. But in the future, when they know better, and if it's their choice, it's their free will. If they don't do better, then they reap the rewards of either world.
We're at the crossroads.
We are,
Yeah.
and you
There's
can't,
no-
there is no middle road,
No,
right?
there's no
So,
Yeah.
that's all we're saying to you, is that you, at this point of the juncture, right, we have the ability to go down one or the other. It's the left or the right. And we're just sharing with you that, follow the right. I mean, it's your choice, but wow, the rewards are amazing
Yeah.
on one end, and
Yeah.
the suffering is not so nice on the
Yeah,
other.
so I'll never forget that show that was done between Jordan Maxwell and Santos Bonacci, and Jordan Maxwell was going on and on and on about what a right proper genius Santos Bonacci is.
Yeah.
And of course, Santos is, because
Yeah.
Santos knows the truth and teaches the truth. And Jordan's going on and on and on. Never, ever, ever taught the truth, never, ever taught Santos's truth. But he's a big fan, big fan. Just conveniently forgot all of Santos's incredible truth when he was doing his teachings and whatnot. But huge fan of Santos. So I remember seeing that and just going, "Fuck you, fuck you! You're a huge fan of Santos Bonacci, and you don't teach what Santos is teaching. Do you know how far? You know how much further Santos could have gone if you hopped on the bandwagon, Jordan, going, man, I'm telling you, all my years of research, and this guy is absolutely telling the truth." And Santos could have gone a quantum mile with someone like that jumping on the backside of it, but never did. But he's a huge fan. Fuck you, all of you fucking liars. And Colleen and I are sick and tired. So we've carved a niche for ourselves through
Okay, that was just a black belt. We're not sick and tired. We're actually doing really well.
through all of this, but it is true. Through all of this, and all we've done is because we were sick and tired of the lies. We've taught the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, and that's why we find all of these movies. It's why we find these songs. It's why we're able to decode all of this stuff, because we have no agenda. We're only interested in one thing, and that is the truth. And that puts us into a very unique situation which is in this disease world, which has to collapse. We're literally the only example of the truth, the whole truth, and Santos, obviously, Eric Dubé being a huge part of that. And we are three, divine individuals that have just said enough with the lies, and we're only moving forward with the truth. So, it's a beautiful thing.
Now-
And
now
on
the-
Wednesdays.
Wait.
Go
Now, the
ahead.
Trump train is a frequency, and the Trump train is moving in a righteous manner. And so you want to jump on that Trump train.
150.
And you can't if your frequency is too low. So at this point, we need to raise our frequency, get on that Trump train. And the Trump train gematria is
150.
Yeah,
183.
well, no, because Colleen you're right,
It's
Trump
the-
train, but this is
the
the
Trump
Trump
train.
train.
Oh, dang
that
it.
Trump train.
So that Trump train is 183. And open your eyes, 183. Order out of chaos,
Wow. You were
183.
talking about 138 earlier. But yeah, I would also say that what separates you, like Jordan Maxwell from like you guys in Santos is purpose. And what I see in purpose is purity, like P, photonic light, gold, so it's fire. And then Po is posture, composure. So you guys had that pose. And then that gives, again, reason, which is Rhea sun. So you guys found the sun. You guys found the sun through the mother.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's beautiful how it all works. Transformation, 183. Christ the Redeemer, 183. Bloodline of Jesus, 183. Open your eyes, 183. My Lord's my faith, 183. Keep your soul, 183.
Wakey.
Zombie apocalypse, 183.
Wow.
Master code creator, 183. Going home to heaven, 183. I mean, it's just overwhelming.
These are all signs from God. This is God's
overwhelming.
language, and he's talking to us. And so it's so beautiful. And
There are
thank
no
you.
coincidences.
There aren't. Thank you so much for sharing all of this with us. Toni, I'm not sure if you're there right now, hon, maybe you're sleeping, but we love you and thank you so much for coming on the show and sharing your gnosis. Toni, you're just amazing. We love you so much. And all of you people who are in our family and those of you who are listening, thank you so much for being here. Now, this is a week to remember. So it's happening, people. And yeah, it's absolutely happening.
Don't kid
Coincidence
yourselves.
103, bullshit 103, politics 103.
Yeah, don't try to convince yourselves that what happened today was some kind of fluke or whatever. It's a mercy for the moronic masses to get their shit together one last time with regard to Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Mostly it's because that's how most of the satanic people stay in touch with their families. They don't even have phone numbers anymore. It's just through Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. It's just incredible. They're all in with these satanic platforms, which
So
makes
this will
perfect
give them
sense.
the opportunity to pull off their pictures, to connect with their family and know that this will happen again.
Yeah. How many new subscribers to Telegram
50
today?
million, over 50
Wow.
million subscribers to Telegram today. So Telegram is the platform to go on to connect. We can phone.
It is
and you
not
can
perfection.
video.
Yeah.
There, of course, it's been slow today because today had 50 million subscribers come on.
Is it Junior's platform?
I think it's Jamie's
Ah.
platform.
And Michael B. Protzman said, or was it B. Protzman said it's the only app he ever had? Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Well, Michael, that might be true for that character.
Exactly.
Yeah, for that character. Yeah, and don't kid yourselves about that as well. So Wednesday night, just 2 days away, Wednesday night. This is going to be an amazing show. It is, and everyone's going to speak a lot and passionately and powerfully with this. And I want to make this point one more time, that all of these people that have stood on the right hand side of all of this, when everybody else was falling by the wayside, there are millions of these minions that gave in, millions of these minions that are drinking children's blood. all for this fake fame, all for fake positions of leadership, fake. These people that truly denounced Satan and defended God are heroes. They're heroes, and they need to be treated like heroes. And I just cannot say enough for Keanu Reeves in Hollywood, being this father, being this figure of righteousness, all of these roles passing him by and stuff, because he wouldn't partake in stuff, and all of those, Mel Gibson and
Denzel
Kevin
Washington.
Costner and
Denzel Washington.
Denzel Washington. What did Denzel release today? Denzel said, he said, I've never seen my career as one movie or one role or one persona or one this, one that. He said, I've seen my movie career as part of my life, and that's just being on the right side of things. And he said, if you stay on the right side of things as your main purpose to life, he said, well, it served me well. And that's what it's about. Sometimes you pick roles that are holier than others, and some that aren't as holy as others and whatnot, but you stay on that path, you stay on that frequency, you stay on that life force, which is God is the God of the living, not of the dead, and everything is going to work itself out righteously. So again, to Mel Gibson and to Denzel and to Brendan Fraser and Kevin Costner and Clint Eastwood and
What's his name who
Keanu
played
Reeves,
Frodo? What's his name who played Frodo?
Elijah Wood. Absolutely.
There will be a very
We love
nice
you.
list of beautiful
Yeah.
people when this is
Yeah.
all disclosed, and
Yeah.
we'll all be able to,
Tom Petty,
Celebrate
Michael
our
Jackson,
Tony.
Prince, Robin Williams, and my name's Flag. Just look at the flag. My name is Flag, Robin Williams.
yeah.
Yeah.
Steve
Irwin.
Yep.
Stephen and Rob are women right now.
Doing it for the greater good.
Doing it for the greater good. So these are people that where everybody else was capitulating, they didn't. And we need to make a big deal. We need to make a huge deal. And when these ones come forward, Elvis at the forefront of all of this fakery, and Elvis, who said absolutely not, and John Lennon and George Harrison, who said absolutely not, where fall and I don't think
Maybe the real Paul was John Galton.
exactly.
too.
We don't know. We don't
But anyway,
know.
we'll talk about that tomorrow.
Yeah, so Wednesday
Oh, yeah.
night. So
Wednesday, sorry.
that's what's coming. What is the John Galting process? Who has been John Galton, and why this is so important? It's huge. And they're the ones that are coming: Michael, Dave, John. So closing comments, hop in, everyone. Love you guys. Great show.
Yeah.
Tony, we love you.
Denounce Satan, renounce Christ, God.
Yeah, I mean, this is just another reminder that the time of choosing is here. So it's not I mean, we talk about how this is a game that we're playing, but it's a game to play seriously, and it's a game to take on so every little bit in your life, just make sure it's a righteous choice. Just make sure that each action is a righteous action. And what we talked about tonight was all about the food. And I know a lot of people that listen to us are still struggling with this decision on letting go of the meat, dairy, and eggs, letting go of the processed foods, letting go of all these addictions, these things that keep us rooted. And I can speak from experience, because even just a year ago, I was still there. I was still rooted in those concepts. That was one of the hardest things to let go of. When I found Charlie's work, I was like, I like this Charlie guy, but he's all about this vegan thing, and I don't know if I'm ready to give that up. But when I really sat and was honest with myself and really sat with it, I was like, there's no way that God would support this. There's no way that God would support killing of animals just to sustain life. There's no way that makes any sense. So you can look at it from a moral standpoint, and then you can take your analytical mind and you look at it from a scientific standpoint, and it's like, yeah, our body completely rejects this stuff. It doesn't even work with us. So even if you put aside the moral aspect to it, it just doesn't make sense. So no matter how you slice and dice it, no matter how you put it, it just doesn't fit with how we're supposed to be. So if you just embrace the truth, embrace the fact that we are frugivores and we are supposed to step into this path, it's that much easier. We are the only ones, our ego is the only one that gets in our way to keep us from doing that.
More all.
Yes, yeah, exactly. So if tonight can be another little nudge in that direction of inspiration to help push along that path, I'll be grateful for that. But we're all here, and we're all given opportunities to atone for the things that we've done. So as we move forward, those opportunities are going to become a little bit more obvious and apparent and painful, and we don't take those opportunities. So take them now when it's easier. Take them now when the lessons are more palatable to absorb, because it's just going to be, it's just going to get more intense as we go down the line. So yeah, that's all.
Amen.
And I think for this week, a little bit of advice from the Collywog. And I've been guilty of this, that I get too involved in what's been going on, and then it becomes very stressful. And I know a lot of us, we're so emotionally wrapped up with what's been going on that we take this to heart, and every little move that happens, because we don't know the plan. And then we get upset when it doesn't go the way we think it should. Just remove yourself a little bit and become the observer. And that's what I'm going to do. And I hopefully I can enjoy this movie a little bit more than I have been. And just, get busy with loving your family, get busy with the things that make you happy in your day, and maybe put down the social media, because that will be going quite soon as well. And just enjoy it. And when it happens, it's going to happen. And then that'll, this movie is really for those that are asleep, those that are asleep right now. And that's what's happening for them. And we are there to help them and aid them. But at the same time, we need to keep ourselves in a place of balance and a place of, presence, absolutely. And which is the now, right? Be in the now. And that can happen only if you're focused on the righteousness, and absolutely letting go of the fear. And it's the fear that drags us into all of that suffering. So that's just a little bit of advice for me, because I'm going to be doing that, focusing on that. So I love you all so much. And we'll see you Wednesday.
Yeah, I mean, you said, it's happening for the people that are sleeping, but it's being done by the people that are awake.
Yes.
And it's funny how awake is like a wake of a ship. So the people that can see the consequences, the repercussions. And you said something about happening, but yeah, just let it happen. And I don't know what else to say.
Again, please go back to the movies that we've been telling you that not for nothing. These movies were done for a reason.
V for Vendetta
Again,
will give you hope. It will give you, what's the word? It starts with the C.
No,
It's a game.
Christ, clarity,
Yeah.
a lot of C's.
Yeah, that's right. Clarity as well. And so, James McTiernan, the director, James McTiernan, wasn't put through hell and go to prison for nothing. Hunt for Red October is not for nothing. That movie is made for a reason. It's payoff time. It's delivery time. We thought for a while it might be last October. It's this October. It's now. Everything is on now. And James McTiernan didn't go to prison so that these movies just mean jack shit. This is Red October, and this is the hunt for Red October, because the red system must crash and it must come tumbling down by November 5th. Remember the 5th of November. we watched that movie again last night. There's just no two ways about it. They put so much money. That movie was made between London and Berlin. There are so many units that worked on this movie. They must have spent a fortune on making V for Vendetta. There are so many people that worked on that movie. And I think it's so poetically wonderful that it's being made by Londoners and Berliners.
And what did we notice about at the end of every movie that you notice there's the little Malta sign?
What's that?
It's the sign of Malta, meaning that it had to go through,
Yeah, and then it says the unions,
and Malta is
AFL,
the Jesuits, right?
CIO,
And it's the evil. So,
Yeah.
but it did not have that sign at the end.
No,
So I-
Which movie?
V for
V for
Vendetta.
Vendetta.
So,
Amazing.
and we watch to the end of every movie, and we always wait to see that little symbol to
Uh-huh.
see, if it's been made
Does
by.
Lord of the Rings have?
I believe Lord of the Rings has the Malta sign. I don't remember.
I can't remember. at
We'll have
this
to check
point
it out.
now.
Okay,
But
next time.
Yeah.
so not for nothing,
Not for
not for nothing. V for Vendetta, they spent a fortune making V for Vendetta. It is just pure genius. It is one of the greatest movies ever done. And it's our story.
It will
This is
console
what's
your
going
heart.
on. And we thought maybe there was a chance last November that it would play itself out. It's this November. So, and whether this is the Julian calendar, so then November 5th becomes November 18th, based on one calendar or the other, it's hard to say. But these movies were not made for nothing. They're not going to let V for Vendetta pass. Independence Day, the blowing up of the White House, and V for Vendetta, the blowing up of the British Parliament. I mean,
And
just-
trust me, the first domino has
Ah.
Yeah, the fuse has been lit.
the fuse has been lit.
so again.
Nothing can
just-
stop what is coming. and
That's
It's
right.
coming faster and faster now.
That's
so,
right.
Yeah.
So, okay, yeah. So, and we'll see you Wednesday night. It's going to be a great show on the John Galting process.
Love you guys.
Mhm.
Thanks for hanging out with us. Talk to you
Truth,
next
light,
time.
love.